Hello. We are live, and we just watched House of the Dragon, and Shad has his big phallic sword out, and we're ready to go. House of the D.
Yeah. Gonna have a new sword every week. This one is Imperious. It's actually from my novel. This is a reproduction you can get from Calamisil. It's a LARP safe one, but new sword every week, guys. Let's do this.
It's a lap safe. Fuck, I want to get that sword. Can I get that sword?
Literally, you can buy this sword.
Done. I need that on my wall. And yeah, welcome everybody. This is not a Rings of Power review. We have all of us have about 24 hours of content on that show that you can see at a later.
Yeah.
And we're not kidding. It's 24 hours. We're going to talk about a semi-decent fantasy show.
Something that's actually good. What a change of pace.
Terrifying.
So I'll introduce the gents and we'll get into what we thought. We have the long man, MauLer, who just produced a masterpiece video on Doctor Strange. How are you, sir?
Oh, thank you for saying that. That was very nice of you. Hello. It's always good to be here. It's, from my little pocket island over in one part of the world to connect with America and Australia. It's always fun to think about that. Same triangle I got on EFAB. Exactly the same one, actually.
It is,
right? Yeah. Through the three corners of the world. That's what that is, I guess. We'll combine to tell you guys what we thought of stuff. But yeah, it's super exciting. I do like that you said, by the way, we've all got this covered. Just like there's a full buffet at this point for anybody who's looking for breakdowns of all stuff that's coming out. You get choices
and
all
more
over
to come. More to come.
Yeah.
I got 3 separate videos that I'm beginning work on. That's separate to the episode reviews. And that's on top of just looking at what the general discourse of Rings of Power and stuff. So lots of options.
I can't believe there's discourse at this point, but Shad Brooks, writer, content creator, holder of swords. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm phenomenal. I've been having a blast, like under the pump, because there is so much to cover at the moment. But House of the Dragon absolutely should not be overlooked. In actual fact, I think it deserves a bit more attention, especially after watching episode 3, because
agreed. We're going to start a little spoiler free for spoiler phobes out there, but then we're going to get into spoilers. We're just going to spoil it. But I'll start. It was the best episode of the 3. And I watch it with MauLer, which is really cool. And we say our little comments, but it was a slow build. But no, this one was for me solid. The first solidly paced video show that I was not bored. I was not bored with any dialogue. I think every scene mattered, and that's all we asked for a show.
I know. I noticed that from episode 1, every scene is doing something important. It's not fluff. It's not just there for whatever showing off or anything. It's pushing the plot forward, the character development forward. And therefore it makes it interesting, because then the dialogue also works it's competently done.
Well, we're going to compare it to Rings of Power, guys. I mean, we just saw dog shit. So
what? Another multi-million-dollar fantasy TV show. Why would you do that?
Right. But MauLer, what were your overall thoughts, sir?
I was quite happy with this one. I found myself paying a lot of attention and getting intrigued by everybody's individual motivations and how they play into each line that's delivered for every scene. I want to say that I'm really impressed with Paddy Considine at this point. He did such a good job throughout this episode. Not that he hasn't already, but man, we got some full-on, really emotionally deep scenes from him.
Yeah, and, the scene in front of the fire, the bonfire. Oh yeah, I made a specific note, like, damn,
doing a really good job, and to the point now where it's just like, he's good enough. He alone is good enough to follow this show, I think.
Yeah. Like that was my comment in that sense. Like, this guy's carrying the show for me right now. I'm invested.
I'm not waiting for Damon.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And we had mentioned it, but it felt like he'd really captured everything that he's going through. I really feel it. All of this guy's having some trouble, and I feel really bad for him, because he's just a series of horrible decisions he's got to make. And as he put it, like, for every time he pleases a person, someone else gets pissed off.
I wrote that line down word for word, because it's like, what a great line. Not just well constructed, but conveying the character's conflict perfectly. It's just,
But yeah, I was very happy with the episode. And we got us we got plenty of action in here. Plenty of fun slicing and dicing, blood splatters, and we got like 3 major sort of scenes of sort of like, oh shit, what's going on here? Like fight, because you have the opening, the end with the dragons and stuff, but also there's a bit of the boar. You know, they had me on edge for a little bit there. I was like, what the fuck is in this forest?
There was good pacing and setup to that. It's like, and then well, I don't want to give spoilers. We'll wait for that, but yeah.
Yeah, I liked it.
If I'm a little delayed, sorry. I saw somebody say I was delayed. If it continues, I will turn my camera off and turn it back on. That usually fixes it. But in the meantime, it don't look delayed to me. I don't look like a Japanese film.
I noticed it a little bit before. It's fixed itself now, though.
But yeah, I think it's really going in a good direction. I was kind of worried with this crab feeder fight. I'm like, is it just fight for fight's sake? It wasn't, which was really kind of cool.
The entire setup of the battle was directly in line with a character's reaction about something, and I was just like, characterization, pushing things forward, justifying certain risky actions. It's like, yeah, good writing. Well, it's good to see finally.
It is. I mean, like leisurely strolls in the Kingswood are still kind of interesting. So yeah, well done. And MauLer and I, we were watching this in the beginning and we're like, oh, Rhaenyra, she's starting to sound a little bitchy, but like she's entitled. It really works by the end. Like by the end, you're like, okay, got it. All right. So I thought everybody was really good in this. It's like the show found its legs really quick. But they have no choice with this. They're up against Rings of Power. They put a lot of money into it. It's the heir to a fucking total disaster that we all fucking hated called Game of Thrones Season 8. It doesn't wipe that stain away yet. No, we ain't there, baby. We ain't there. All roads lead to Queen.
It doesn't take much to beat Rings of Power at the moment. Like even right now, the Hobbit trilogy is orders of magnitude ahead of Rings of Power.
I'm gonna watch it in a couple days. I can't wait.
I'm just thinking, all the actors in that are probably feeling pretty smug to some degree. They'll be like, finally. They say that about was it Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen said, like, we've been getting a lot more love in the recent years, and a lot of people are just like, yeah, it's because of nostalgia. It's like, it has nothing to do with Disney annihilating Star Wars. It has nothing to do with that.
You just need that barometer of it can always get worse. How much worse can it get?
You're absolutely right. That's how scales work, right? The bottom is the worst. So when you get a new worst, it moves everything else.
It does, and we are in the worst era of Hollywood I've ever seen. And I'm counting, well, I wasn't there, but the 50s, the like really bland 50s, that's considered the worst time for film. This is way worse than that. This is terrible. But that's why House of the Dragon, a competent show, will get praised. We're like, good boy. Good boy. Good boy.
You get a treat.
On my carpet. Good boy. So I got scattered notes we can go over. We're gonna get into spoiler Terry. Let's
Wait, did Shad give his overall? Or
no, sorry, I did. Thanks for keeping me in line because
no problem.
I am just drugs. Hi Shad.
Hey Gary. So interesting, like I was interested to hear your guys' views because I was like, there is a possibility that some people might find the beginning of the episode a little boring because it's very political talking and stuff like that. There are moments of a bit more intensity to draw you in. For myself, same view on basically episode 2 because the political machinations were all justified. You could see that it was coming directly from inline characterization and stuff, and you could see what their plans. I was engaged. I was drawn in about the conversations, especially. I mean, there are small things that just have an inordinate, like I have an inordinate appreciation for, and there were a decent amount of elements like that. The king, just wow! There are like standout moments with Viserys in this episode, which. Just makes me love this character even more. And I've been saying he's one of my favorite. Wow. Well, there's that. And then it comes home with, like a pretty awesome fight scene. I've got small little criticisms, but overall it was badass. And the great thing about it, it wasn't just action for the sake of action. You could see the character motivation and reasons behind it, and they didn't have to spell it out. It was as competent, if not more competent, than the other episodes before it. Best one so far. Let's hope it continues. More positive signs. More positive signs.
Well, we got one right here on the bottom. Night King 01. What's up, Night King 01 for $4.99? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Oh yeah, Miguel Sapochnik has left the show. Addition by subtraction. Trust me on this one. And they do have a better replacement. The director, I believe, I'm pretty sure, Thor: The Dark World, but Watchers on the Wall, Battle of the Blackwater, Alan Taylor has taken his place. Good. Also, they released the first episode on YouTube the day Rings of Power premiered for free. They did.
I love that.
And hey, on Sapochnik, okay, there's a quote from Maester Pycelle, Grand Maester Pycelle from I think season 1 near the end. He says, "Treason is a noxious weed. It must be torn out." Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything necessarily. I'm just saying.
Like, I mean, seriously though, like some of the comments this showrunner in particular, who's now leaving, has said he's been going out of his way to try and politicize these episodes and inject commentary and statements that are contradicted by the content of the show itself.
Yeah.
And I found that so annoying. I did a whole video just calling out, no, it's not saying what they're saying it is. And so to see him gone is a very good sign.
I want to read a quote from George R.R. Martin. You're gonna not believe it's from him. From when Salman Rushdie was attacked 3 weeks ago, the author, Satanic Verses. This is a pretty good quote. You won't believe it's from George. Now I will preface this quote by saying, George, you let the wolf in the door in your publishing industry. I sent it in the real BBC chat. There it is. Okay. And these days, freedom of speech needs defenders. For when I look around, I find it under attack everywhere. Blacklisting, cancel culture, libraries being funded, classes, classic works of literature being banned or boulderized or removed from classrooms, or ever-growing list of toxic words, the mere utterance of which is now forbidden. No matter what context or intent, the erosion of civility and discourse, both the rabid right and the woke left, seem more intent on silencing those who views they disagree with, rather than besting them in a debate. Well, I'm seeing it a lot more from one side than another, buddy. Sorry. And the consequences for those who dare to say things deemed offensive have been growing ever more dire. Jobs lost, careers ended, books canceled, at quote unquote deplatforming. George R.R. Martin.
That sounds like a very different tune than what I've heard him say recently.
Yep. Well, I think he sees a contemporary getting attacked. Possibly, I don't know if he lost an eye or not. That's terrible. But as authors and as anybody who speaks in public, you're gonna like, oh shit, But that's the world we live in, and it's the media that's stirred this up between a lot of us when we just want to talk about stories and or give our opinions on things. And it's okay to do that, and it's okay to disagree here. By the way, I don't mind at all. You can even call me stupid. My wife does. CGT for $1.99 Australian. Say retarded for me once, Chad.
Retarded.
Oh God, he says it perfectly. So MauLer.
Yes.
I think we were in those first scenes and we're focusing on Rhaenyra. And I think, we're trying to see the difference between her and Daenerys Targaryen, because that's what everyone's right now.
I simply worry for her. I want her to not end up in the position that Daenerys did, which was just constantly being an asshole to basically everybody. I really don't want that to happen to her. Right? I want it to be more interesting than that, because she's obviously frustrated and she's got her reasons, but she's not doing the thing that we kind of like to see in characters where they realize, like, right, so this is my position, this is where I sit, this is the will, this is reality. What can I do to make things better for myself? As best as possible, even to the point of manipulation, right? We like seeing it sort of like that, instead of just every time anyone tries to speak to her, she'll have catty and short responses, which doesn't help her, and it doesn't help. Like subtextually, a lot of them are trying to like give her a, her dad and her stepmother now are both still trying to treat her well, give her opportunities, have her be involved, and she couldn't be more like annoyed, frustrated, even the thought, just because you're gonna take things from me. And I'm hoping to see more from her that makes me go like, okay, so she's aware of what's going on, and she's gonna move this direction, do this instead of sort of whining. But we'll see. I'm trying to be fair, because I was even surprised that her and her dad had a big old shouting match in possibly the worst place in the world ever. But hey, clearly tensions boiling, and I do enjoy that. Right, like within a lot of the dialogue, there's just all these little pointed jabs, even back and forth, and you can tell that those the years that we've moved over, this would have been the norm. They've just been getting worse and worse and more distant as a result of the fact that everybody's now got their eyes on his son, and they're like, you're obviously going to be doing something with that, right? And it seems to me that I was saying this to Gary, it seems to me that he's the only character in the fucking show that thinks like, no, I'm not actually. Like, I was not going to change the air. Everybody's convinced he will, though.
That actually surprised me. I thought he look, I don't know the story. I don't know the larger lore. This is speculation, so it can't be a spoiler if it's just speculation. But I thought he was going to announce his son to be the heir and replacement. And the choices that they were making with the princess, I actually thought they were laying a foundation to annoy their king enough to say, look, you're offending the other nobles. You're not, she literally not doing what she's saying, not doing her duty, running away, outside of the camp on her own. These are all clear signs saying she's not prepared to be the ruler, the heir to the throne. She's not doing the things she needs to do to take on that responsibility and learn and everything like that, which seemed like a setup for him making the decision, which he didn't do. And it's like, and especially the compassion he shows on the princess, the daughter at the end, where he actually kind of extends an olive branch saying, look, you need to marry for advantage. I will let you choose someone that will be like, it made the king come off really, compassionately, sympathetic and everything. So it'll be interesting, where they go with the princess as a result of what they were setting up, because that's where I thought it was going and it didn't.
No, it didn't. And I'm not going to say where it goes, but I think what we did get in this episode is a better idea of her, I think, but a better idea of all the houses too. We got to see they went on a hunt, and it's going to be interesting to see different Lannisters, some houses you might recognize, people acting a lot differently, like, possibly bad Baratheons. It'll be flipped a little bit. And that'll be fun to watch if they're good. You saw there's 2 twin Lannisters there, so that's gonna maybe play into something. We also got Matt Clubfoot. He was there for a second. So Sir Strong, the guy who's on this High Council, has a little brother named Clubfoot. Clubfoot there's multiple master and mistresses of whisperers in the book. So there's Misery, the White Worm, the woman who Daemon took off on Daemon, is said in the book that Daemon sent away. In the books, they obviously changed it. Daemon did have her with child, and then she took a ship back to Tyrosh and she lost the child. So that's why Daemon was so sour in the Stepstones. So that they changed that. Whatever, that's fine. Because remember, it's unreliable narrator, so George can always say, well, it depends on the maester who told the story. It's like, fuck up. I'm done with that. But we also have the Clubfoot, who's going to be another master of whispers. He's going to be around a long time. So
see, that's interesting. I'm unaware of this larger lore and everything like that. But as you say that, I can see them already laying the foundation for that character. He specifically injects himself into the gossip of the women to hear, what are they talking about? What information can I get? And so they seem to be aware of those things and laying proper setups for these characters.
Rhaenyra was like listening to them all sort of bitch, and then instead of sort of kind of being a part of it, understanding how to manipulate it, make use of it, she's like, you eat cake.
Shut up. Yeah.
I think everyone there is just like, the hell? Like, you're not supposed to say that. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you might like her for her directness, but politically, I mean, we showed that earlier. She chose Kristen Cole over two houses that could have been allies, and that's going to be her personality. And then you can see Allison is the much more cautious one. And you know, what was that?
I was going to say, which is the vibe of the whole environment of like the politics will always keep coming back. Like no matter how many times, for example, Viserys says like, "No, you're the heir, you're the heir, you're the." It's just like how long before the pressures will just be like, "No, you know politics works," because that's what we saw with him and Rhaenyra in this about her getting married over and over again until she cracked through a little bit when she was like, "Did you marry for political purpose or did you marry for something else?" It's like.
Not me there.
Having said that, though, look, they didn't do this in the show, but he did have an easy comeback if he wanted to. Say, I did it first, I did my duty, and then I had given up on having another child, and so I think he kind of deserved marrying for affection the second time around.
A Hightower.
To be fair as well, though, that was part of his argument was how much he loved his first wife, even though it was a political power move. Again, that whole conversation, a lot of purpose behind all the lines and stuff that they would expect these characters to say with the lives they've led. This is good. Like this is we want to see this.
Because I keep forgetting Otto Hightower's brother's name, Hobart, he was actually the Lord of the Hightower. So, and you got to see in this more Hightower. So you got to see Otto interact with his brother's manipulating stuff. Otto clearly is smarter than his brother. And you see the divide in the council, like Strong, suggested the marriage of Laenor, which like makes all the sense in the fucking world. You do that. Like that's absolutely what you need to do. And it's like Viserys' pride and other stuff that's getting in the way, but that would fix things. But with George, even like, well, I mean, this is the reason we watch Game of Thrones, right? And originally like these books is George sets up a series of events and they go sideways and we see how they go sideways, so
I don't know about you guys, but Otto episode 2 got a bit of Tywin vibes, but like this episode got serious Littlefinger vibes. Like he's definitely caught between those two characters for his approach, his personality. Not as much power as Tywin. And force, but he's definitely got all that sneaky shit. I was saying to Gary, with every line he comes out with, I'm like, how does this benefit you? Like, with everything you say.
Well, we were talking about like him hunting. I didn't know it was a buck, right? They just said white fang or something like that, and I thought it was either a boar or a wolf. I don't know, and I like maybe they put that buck or whatever animal was there to put him in danger to make us think of Robert. And yes, everything in this story is supposed to make you think of, this is the bad part, of Game of Thrones. It's supposed to be like it was used to foreshadow things. That's what George would use history. I mean, every chapter in A Song of Ice and Fire, somebody's talking about a history of like, this is where this situation happened before. So it gives you a possible outcome that may or may not happen. But it's a lot of cycles repeating.
Because obviously in the next time on thingy, they're mentioning A Song of Ice and Fire again. It's like shush, 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 shush. You don't need to do that. You're fine.
Don't show us that fucking dagger. Don't talk about Song of Ice and Fire. Nothing's gonna happen except Baby Night King at the end. He's gonna go goo goo gaga.
I remember
at the end. That'll be the very end. I like they'll go into a cave and we'll see like little, although he's already full grown adult. They did that. God, that stupid origin. Oh my God. Everything I remember from the original season gives me a headache.
Yeah.
That was all of their context on the Night King was some children of the forest grabbed a dude and stuck some dragon glass in his chest.
Yeah.
What?
Because that's the thing. I think back then they were even still thinking like we're still going to expand. We're still going to. It's like I'm not sure which season it was where they were like, no, let's start compartmentalizing everything back down into one storyline. We're done. We want to end now. Even though HBO, the fans, and fucking everyone ever was like, please carry on and keep making it as long as it needs to be. Don't just end. And they were like, nah, we're good. Even the actors wanted more, or at least some of them. I know Kit Harington would have done another 10 seasons if he could.
Oh, I think they all would. He should have just like, okay, go on, go try to get roles and come back in a couple of years.
Have any of them moved on to bigger things since Game of Thrones?
Well, Peter Dinklage became huge in Infinity War, right?
Well,
He did.
I meant literally, Shed.
Yes.
Yeah, I got you.
And then, he ended the career of every little person in Hollywood. Kicked the ladder right out from under him. That son of a bitch.
No more Seven Dwarves for you.
Huge. Oh, that's right. There's going to be 7 magical creatures or something. I don't care. I honestly don't care. That thing will be come and go, and nobody will remember it. But I thought everything built quite nicely. We got the meeting of Sir Criston Cole and Rhaenyra, which is very important. I'll just say that it's obviously they spent so much time on it. It better be important. And
yeah.
And we also got to see Rhaenyra not, be Rhaenyra, right? And she looked almost happy. But this was Patty Constantine's episode, dude. Like all the way through. Like I was not sitting there going, "Where's Matt Damon Targaryen?" And but that we'll get to that part because that was. I will
say how his argument with the Lannister lad started out reminded me of Twitter, where you do the thing of like such a good day today, and it's like, oh, so the other days are bad now.
Yeah.
No, not at all. Like,
no, I just said today's good.
It's like I could offer you strength. It's like, oh, do the Targaryens need strength now?
Are we weak? What I did like about that, it showed that he wasn't a complete pushover to the Lords of the Kingdom. He could throw around his authority and weight now and then.
I loved it. I think he's drunk. He's angry. it's we've all been there. Someone will say something perfectly normal and be like, "Yeah, fuck off." Like whatever. Right?
No, that scene was and you were going, "Oh no, he's drinking just like Robert." And I'm on because it sucks to be the king. Who would want to be the king? Who'd want to live in Westeros, much less be the king of Westeros? The only peaceful person in Westeros is probably fucking others, the Night King. He was probably minding his own business and being fine up there in the north. I don't know, like living on an island by yourself, because it would be a terrible place to live. But we got to see that was weird. Wasn't it strange when we saw like Rhaenyra looking over the lands, and you think about how small the episodes got towards the end of Game of Thrones, and like how much we were missing, like being on in the Kingswood on a hunt.
Well, you know, remember, they made the area outside of King's Landing was just a desert.
Yeah,
remember that? It was. Everyone was like, "Wait, what?" And I think the implication they were trying to go with was they chopped down every single tree to make those ballasted things to destroy the. But it's just like, I'm sorry, this desert.
They went Saruman.
Like what did they do? Salt the earth? What the fuck? Like,
pull up every tree. Yes. Yes. No. That was dumb. I remember that. And that, all those trebuchets were there. But I think all the way through I'm trying to find, there's nothing I didn't like in this. I'm going to watch this again for my review and be totally fine with watching it again. I was kind of looking forward to this, and I know it sucks. Game of Thrones season 8 sucks. And I know how this story ends, and I don't know. I can say in instances they are improving on the book. I didn't like the book very much, though. I need to make that very clear. I don't like fake histories that are fake. Like if you're going to do a fake history, at least tell me this is the real history. Don't go, it's a fake history, but it's not reliable. It's like, why am I fucking reading this then? Like, why? So I think this is improving on some points of the book. Personally.
In terms of possible criticisms for the episode, there is like a number of, things that I noticed. They don't break the episode by any means. They're pretty small. But the opening of the episode where we see, Daemon and his dragon fighting the crab feeders and stuff, they were just like small little illogical things. It's like landing your dragon when you're under arrow fires puts you in a more vulnerable position. There wasn't really any purpose to do that. He could have kept elevated and just fried everyone. I was noticing, nailing the hands to the these things. It's like it's not permanently affixed. If they really wanted to, couldn't they just pull the head off the nail? As like, small little things like that. The guy was a bit inconsistent. It's like, F you, die hell. Oh no, don't hurt me. F you, oh, let
Maybe you would be like that. That's true. I don't know.
Maybe,
Maybe.
But these are very minor things. I was getting worried though, because that was the opening, and I was like, nah. And then it's like course corrected. Like things work really, really well. And then I started noticing small things that I liked, far from bothering me, like small little details I just appreciate. You know, the banquet they put on for the name day of the prince, the doting of the father over his son. That just, not only did it feel really genuine, it kind of hit me a bit here, because that's how old my oldest son is. He's 2 and a bit, and I'm exactly the same. I love my little guy. So seeing a father just absolutely enamored by his little boy, it's like, it's good to see. I loved the camp, the hunting camp, and how they had a whole variety of different things. There were different foods being made. All the nobles looked diverse. They were individual characters. They weren't just cookie cutter, here are the nobles of the realm, all reflecting personality and stuff. So really, really small things that I was like just building and building and building. There were some like small eyebrow things with the last battle. Doesn't ruin it. Like for me, I really did enjoy it. Maybe I'll talk about that when we come to the battle, and I'll share some observations.
I was actually going to say, on that opening battle, it takes a little bit to convince me that they're not dominating when they have dragons. I'm not entirely clear on why not. It's like, well, they got archers. It's like, yeah, but the dragon, like, it seems like the wings make them immune almost, like as a shield. And the fact is, like, you know where the enemy is, and they're fucking around doing whatever they're doing. It's like that dragon sweeps in, does like 3 lines of fire, and then just leaves, and then comes back half an hour later and does the same thing. It's like, this is just torment for your enemy. I don't know how they can beat you at that point. There was an implication that they run into like the caves, and so the dragons can't deal with them then. It's like, okay, but I don't know how long is that really working that well? Because like the final battle, I think the idea was supposed to feel is that they draw them all out so the dragons can finally like attack them. And I don't know if I'm fully convinced by all of that.
Yeah, that was one of my criticisms about the setup, is like, because they mentioned we're running out of food, and I was like, you clearly must have more resources than the guys you're fighting. They're trapped in these caves. You could, like, it's a siege, starve them out. You've won, battle over. But they're trying to say they're on the losing end, and I was like a bit.
And don't forget their way of transporting goods with that dragon. Like you get a whole batch of food carried quite quickly across the sea.
They needed to explain, and it's not this way in the book, but they need to say that maybe that Corlys, didn't have that many ships for battle. He was more of a trade guy. They explain that. So like, he's because he's on an island, so he doesn't have a lot of troops. He doesn't have and Daemon doesn't have a lot of troops, but he's got a dragon, and they need to convince that. Now there
are ways you could do it, just like, by mentioning that, contextualizing that, you could say that these crab feeder people are being resourced by, is it the Free Isles or something like that? Like,
cities,
hierarchy. Yeah. And so the free cities are just sending them supplies that are coming in through back hidden passages in the caves, and that means they can last in those caves forever. A single line like that would have solved it. Bang.
Yep.
You definitely help it. Yeah.
There's a house Toland in Westeros that fought off the dragons by hiding out in their mines, in their chalk mines or something like that. It's mentioned in, I think.
And didn't they say Dorne held off the dragons because of they had technology to do so? The big old
Dorne's just tough. For one, they are from a race that's fought that was enslaved and brutalized by the Valyrians forever, and that's why they left. So the explanation was they were able to hide out in caves too, and
I don't know too much of the lore, but they had like big crag. There's like an area with crags that they were hiding in, and also basically the entire population rose up to resist. It wasn't just an army; it was like the entire people.
Everybody,
and they lost heaps of lives, but they just didn't give up.
No, it's supposed to be kind of like Vietnam, right? So it's Dorne. Dorne doesn't come into the Seven Kingdoms till later. So it's not even part of the Seven Kingdoms right now in this story. They say Seven Kingdoms, but they don't have any rule over Dorne at all. but yeah, there is ways to beat the dragons. Plus, the dragons are like something they're looked at as nuclear weapons, or like a last resort, especially by Viserys. He did set that up. He's like, I don't like these things, and he rode Balerion, the Black Dread, like the last big motherfucking dragon. But then they conquered Westeros with 3 dragons, like pretty easily.
Yeah,
pretty freaking easily. They roasted a few people and a castle, Harrenhal, and that was it. Pretty much everybody's like, okay, we're done. We're not going to fight this anymore.
Gotta feel bad for Harrenhal. Such a beautiful, huge castle.
Oh, like, I love that we got to see it somewhat depicted, in the Great Hall at the beginning of episode 1.
Yep.
It's like, they're showing the size and grandeur of what it was. It's like, good to see.
Yeah, and Black Heron was an asshole. Like, he had it coming. But
cooked alive with all of his sons.
Yep. But yeah. So it's setting up this hunt. We're seeing Viserys like just drinking himself, and everybody's politicking him to death, and he just wanted to go out and like kill something.
Oh, dude, when you rewatch it, he's explaining it as like, oh, we get to go out as a family and have some fun. He's such a just normal dude.
Yes, I love him. He's just and trying to hold his family together, trying to do his best, and that's why I love that line so much, where he says, what if I try and please someone, I anger someone else, and he can't stand it.
Yeah, welcome to fatherhood. That's what I said. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
But no, I thought everything was pretty well set up, and they're able to build this and then still give us something to, because if they did another full episode of sitting down and talking, people would be just like it's not like you need a big battle, especially in Game of Thrones. They didn't have a ton of big battles, but things need to happen. We're watching a fantasy series. I'm not watching Downton Abbey. Okay, I'm not into that shit. I want to see some souls come out, something.
They came through with that. Like that looked like a high budget battle. Like, it looked brilliant. I mean, I'll have my own little nitpicks about the tactics, small little parts. Overall, I could see what they were trying to portray. And Damon just comes off looking like the biggest badass in it. It's like mad lad, so it worked really well.
From a petulant little brother to a Chad by the end. It was like, that's fucking good. And then, and you saw the blood in Rhaenyra's hair in the back. MauLer, you pointed out, so I'll let you, because that was good.
I was just saying, like, a visual of blood in a Targaryen's hair, you'd think that would have been something we would have seen, but they never did that in Game of Thrones in all the seasons. They never tried. At least I don't remember them doing it. But it's quite a striking visual, Yeah.
And it made a statement, like going out on a hunt, and she just disappeared and then comes back with a friggin' boar. Usually, look, if from the medieval context, that's like an entire group would go out and just to bag a boar. I did like that they showed it was dangerous. I didn't like that the boar knocked the knight off his feet. His legs should be shattered if that had that much force. But overall, also the boar was on top of the princess for far too long. She would have been gored.
Yeah.
I legit for a second was like, oh, is the boar friendly? Because is it licking her? I was like, what's... But no, they want us to believe she held it off for a couple seconds. I was like, no,
not that little.
But what they were going for, like the statement of walking back on her own with just the knight with a boar, would have actually had an impact on all the nobility there. Like, holy crap,
Oh, wow, yeah, good for you.
I thought they were going to go a bit further, and actually that she would present the boar carcass to her father as like a gift to celebrate, the brother's naming day. She didn't do that, and I guess that's also in line. She still has issues about who's going to be honored and all that stuff, and so they just left it with the statement of, "Yeah, I did that."
Yeah, and what's a little out of the norm for A Song of Ice and Fire is her being gone that long, right? So in the books, if that happened to royalty, there'd be a massive search party. There's no, because there's bandits in the King's Wood. Even in Robert's time, there is. So, and they're dangerous. So that's why they would just not let a royalty run.
They tried to give us the line of like, oh, the King's Guard was right behind us, so he's with her. Like,
so Kristen Cole. So, well, they kill him too. So they'd look for him too. I mean, he's a valuable guy as well.
No, of course, his armor's probably worth a bit as well. No?
I mean, I was expecting bandits. So the suspense that they made when there's a noise and is looking, I felt they paced that really well to build the suspense. You know something was going to happen, but I actually genuinely had no idea what it would be, because it could be bandits, it could be just an animal that is like haha subversion, could be like, and then it's a boar, and it's like, so that still had a bit, a surprise factor. It's like, oh, how will they deal with this then?
And it was a boar that fucked up Robert as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Can't help but spot these parallels.
Well, there's tons of them, especially with the buck later on. And like that one scene where the king is. So what do you think's going through his head? Because like it definitely didn't look like was he just hungover? Maybe he was drinking a lot. He's getting bugged a lot by all the lords. His younger daughter won't fucking marry. Like he's like, you got to marry. You got to strengthen your line. That's just the way it is. You want to be royalty. She does have one of the most entitled lines in the thing. Is like, Sir Kristen Cole is talking to her, and he says, "Oh, anybody in the realm would trade places for your position."
I love that, because it's basically she's complaining, and then he comes back with a slap. It's like, you're a princess. It's like anyone would trade places with you. I'm glad they put that in. To me, that shows that they're not letting it get away with too much entitlement.
She tried to counter him, but he countered her again with something that I think was quite meaningful as well. It's like, you absolutely changed the shit out of my life, like just with the power that you don't even consider worthwhile. So just, keep that in mind, please.
Yep. Showing gratitude. Yeah. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Gratitude. Kind of a weapon.
Yeah. I mean, Christian Cole's pretty cool from the little we got of him so far.
Yeah. Hey, people start out cool. People start out nice. Not everything was evil in the beginning.
I mean, it's funny. Chat every once in a while, like, wait, does MauLer not know what happens? Like, no, I don't know what happens.
Doesn't know what happened. Yeah, these guys didn't read the book, so I'm trying not to totally spoil it for them. I'm going to let the mystery happen, and things are playing out differently for us book readers too. And I'm not attached to the source material, like I don't know, like Lord of the Rings or something like that, because this was just a piece of shit book that they put out that delayed the Winds of Winter, the one I actually wanted to read, but it's foreshadowing. That's what you call foreshadowing. So yeah, I when King Viserys has to kill the buck, he looks miserable.
Yeah.
So this was my what I saw in this at the beginning of the episode. I was like, Are they showing the king still suffering from the rot that he had? And at first I thought, are they just giving up on it? But then they are very clear to show that something is affecting him physically. He is tired, exhausted, and it really came out with the buck scene where, to me, that was them saying, yeah, he's still sick from something. They're kind of leading up, again, speculation, towards his death. That's what I think it's. Yeah.
I believe I asked Shad this question, by the way, and he never answered it. What is it?
This episode may be good, but does it? What is the difference between a stone and a ship?
Dude, have you seen? Everybody online has been ripping into that. I quite enjoy it. It's very satisfying.
Oh, it's so bad. I'm doing a dedicated video on just the awful lines in episode 1, and I spend like 15 minutes just on this like analogy. I can't believe how bad that was. Oh, it's so dumb, and
really
they're so desperate to present it in because he's speaking like he's saying something wise and insightful, and it's gibberish. It's nonsense. But
Taylor, what's the difference between a bowling ball and a bidet?
Difference. Well,
same difference. One shoots water up your ass, and the other one's a really fun game. So there you go. One finds the light by hitting the pins, and the bidet is the darkness that hits your booty. I don't know.
What if the bowling ball hitting the pins is the darkness or the light? How am I to tell? The second she poked any kind of hole or question into his little analogy, he just goes, figure it out. I don't know.
Well, like the thing is, though, if you are half competent, you can even force that analogy to fit somehow. For instance, like a stone is dense, that's why it sinks. But a boat it's open on the inside, and he could have said, Galadriel, you are too full of anger and rage. You need to keep yourself open so you will float on. Like, there's ways to make an analogy fit. But it's beyond these writers. They just like, a stone looks down, a boat looks up.
Dude, if it was half the parody, the other half of the parody that would have made it complete is if she got confused and then you went, it doesn't matter. The point is that you should do good things. She's like, what? And he's like, I don't know. I don't know. My dad told me this years ago. It made more sense then. I
love at the end when they recall the question and then they don't put the answer in. They don't,
because you're supposed to interpret the answer, Gary.
But then it turns into, what is the difference between a stone and a ship? And then he goes, you have to touch the darkness before you see the light. I'm like, what? What happened to the whole middle part he was saying there? Makes no fucking sense. Don't go back and watch it. Don't. Just watch our videos. There's 24 hours of content, and it's more entertaining than Rings of Power. And House of Dragon is 1,000 times better than that fucking show.
This is the thing, man. Rings of Power, stay away. House of Dragon, well, yeah, inch a little closer. Yeah, just, you're on the little settee and you're sort of moving all. You're like, yeah, all right. Yeah.
I'm not saying it's the greatest thing ever.
No.
Not saying that. I'm just saying it's competent television that I kind of look forward to. I'm like, oh, I get to watch House of the Dragon with MauLer. That's awesome. That's something to look forward to.
That's how our weeks are going to go now. We get hit with She-Hulk and Rings of Power, and then it's like, once you've gotten through that, you've earned House of the Dragon. You can play with that now.
Play with that.
But no, if House of the Dragon becomes a dumpster fire, it's just going to be another knife right in the salt in the wound. It's like, why did you do that to us?
That's why I'm not going to recommend it to anybody yet. I'm not going to get in that kind of trouble again. I did it with the Game of Thrones. I had to make a public apology in my video. I'm like, I am sorry. Everyone, I suggested watch this show. It's my fault. You can blame me. I'm an asshole.
Never again.
Never again. Never trust me again. So, where are the damn episodes in this? I was going to just pull it up so I can reference it. That sounds like get me in trouble. Alicent, I thought was a little better. I thought she was in this. I like. Rhaenyra and Alicent were both better in this. Like
I've gotten a distinct impression, and I don't know if I'm being really overly kind here, but just that Alicent's vibe has changed, as it should. She's gone from being chill friend from school almost to she's got to be a bit more motherly almost to Rhaenyra, which is so awkward for them both. That scene where the bard is there, and it's just awkward. It's just completely awkward because of the fact that their relationship is now completely altered. Which is, again, I want to applaud them a little bit. They are skipping years between episodes. This is not easy to do. Like to keep us all understanding the line of events when you're moving through years at a time. But yeah, if you had a friend who I would say to Gary, it's like your friend became your step parent. You're like, that's fucking weird. Annoying. And yeah, there's a lot of lines where she's just like, is the king demanding this? And then she's like, well, it would be nice if it if it wasn't, you just did it because you want to. It's like oof.
Well, yeah, go on, Chad.
Oh, she does seem to show some genuine affection towards the king that wasn't prompted by Otto. Yet having said that, she is still fully under Otto's control that this episode kind of establishes.
Oh, with the trees he was talking? Yeah.
I felt like this episode established that she's very aware of how much she's a puppet with Otto. Yeah. She looked very bored with what he was talking about in terms of like, yeah, you want me to do all of the evil stuff. Yeah. Like, I know what you want.
He is
but I mean, Otto was pressing the right buttons to manipulate her as well. I was like, do you not want your son on the throne? And she's like, oh, of course I want the best for my own child. I was like, well, then you're going to have to talk to the king.
Yeah, you have to appreciate, because Gary, you brought it up. It's just like, this is the most blatant Otto will get is in that scene. That is him basically laying out exactly what he wants. The High Towers to be in power. And that's the Tywin side again. It's just like, yep, that's completely exactly what we've seen before. He's not going to flower it up for his daughter. She's as in on it as he is. She's never going to betray him or anything. I don't think he has that to worry about.
Yeah, the only house that probably doesn't seek King's Landing is probably House Stark. I mean, they're practically kings where they are, right?
Yeah,
so far away, and they don't just they think all Southerns are pussies anyway. But yeah, in the books, it is alluded to by Mushroom, I believe, that Alicent was she spent time with old King Jaehaerys as he was dying too. She read him a book. So that's what they did. So that's why she did it with Viserys. And of course, Mushroom said he was like, she was giving him hand jobs in the bathtub or something. That's what the book says. what you so like they did the same thing. So they were trying the High Towers because Otto was Jaehaerys' hand and Viserys inherited him, so it's not his hand. And yeah,
he's been a hand for a while then.
He has. And remember, he's the second son. He stands to inherit nothing. He's under his brother, who's kind of a doofus, but has more power. And that's the way it goes in Westeros. Here in the Steadfast asked for 5 Canadian pesos. Thank you very much. Was there a line in the books where it claimed that Dorne was conquered through marriage alliance, or am I remembering wrong? Nope, you are not. It was a well, there was a bunch of attempts by Targaryens. Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. It's been a minute. To conquer Dorne that failed. So they just finally did it with marriage. They just finally, because Dorne knew they were going to we're going to do this forever. But they were allowed to keep Dornish law. That was the compromise. So women can rule in Dorne. Bastards are illegitimate. They're part of your family. They're just kind of a little looser. They're a little looser down there, right? That's where Oberyn came from.
I just say as well, I've always liked Hand of the King as a concept. It's a neat idea. It feels very much like it could easily have been something that was always just there as a concept to keep the king, give him someone who's invested in his rule and also intelligent, but at the same time offers every single person who's in that position to just be conniving.
It does.
Like good intentions, but it's like, oh, what a position to have, the Hand of the King.
No, it's also the shield. I mean, Robert took his mentor and his best friend to death. He didn't need to, because he married a fucking biatch, Cersei. Leonor isn't supposed to be a dragon rider. He's a dragon rider. Sea smoke. That's kind of a spoiler, JFA, but he's supposed to be gay. Yes. And weak.
Gay and weak.
I think he can still battle, right? You might be right on the weak part in the books. They changed that part. I think he's still going to turn out to be gay. He's not bad, but not a warrior. It's supposed to be hard to believe he's brave, strong sons. That's the big potential. Well, it's also, I mean, I don't want to spoil or anything, but there's question of lineage that they've already ruined with the casting change of the Valerians that we've been talking about. You will understand later. We'll see how they deal with that. There's also another question of bastards in the beginning, and it's just hair color. That's all it is hair color. But that's the thing, is some Targaryens, Jon Snow, can have dark hair. Rhaenyra, in one of the versions of her story, Rhaenys, has dark hair, but she doesn't in this. Though. Thank you, JFA, for $9.99. Good point. I thought the way the show showed Daemon killing the crab feeder was sick. I couldn't even tell he was holding half of him till he walked outside. Was better than beheading from the book. I totally agree. That was fucking badass.
I love that.
Didn't need to. That was fucking ballsy.
Yeah. I mean, I would have liked to have seen the actual fight between them, but still walking out with just a chopped in half kind of, corpse. Also, what I kind of small little thing. Yeah. So I know it's a Valyrian sword, is usually a Valyrian steel sword, but medieval swords when sharp enough, they could do that with enough heft. And so,
I was just worried about touching him at all because he's got stone skin. Be careful, Daemon. All right. I don't want you ended up with that.
Yeah. So they talked about that. And he had grayscale, but no way he could have touched his hand then. He would have a glove or something.
As long as he's wearing some kind of glove, he just touched the part of the body that didn't have grayscale, right? I think that's how that works. Or I'd have to.
Yeah, I mean, it did look like he had grayscale. It looked like he was burnt and had grayscale. So
he looked a bit like it, and I think there's a behind the scenes thing where they talk about his makeup and they say he's got grayscale, he's got stone skin. The character, so he's obviously gradually losing his mind on top of dying. Well, he's dead now, so he's in two pieces now.
Who's going to be the big bad? Well,
wait, someone just said MauLer with the lore knowledge. It's like, I grabbed that from behind the scenes. I have not read the book.
You already seen them all. They've all been introduced. There's no Night King coming down or anything. I mean, there's some more people they got introduced, but you've met pretty much all the bad guys already.
Ooh.
And the good guys. Well, there's no good guys or bad. All the gray people. All the gray.
Yeah, bad and neutral. That's what we
good
usually
guy
get.
is Viserys.
All the good people get killed pretty quick.
I'll miss Viserys.
Bryant Townsend for $5. I am still battered wife, but I am willing to hold hands again. Plot armor with the arrows was silly. It was until he got shot, right? The consequence of it.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot, right? So like holes or stretches or whatever. So when someone's shooting arrows at you and you dodge every single one, it's like, ugh, that's really lucky of you. But then when you get tagged by two at some point and you go down and then you hide, and it's like, oh, so that would have happened eventually no matter what. So really, what does him dodging a couple of them mean? It's like he got to kill a few extra people. We got to see him go slice and dice for a little bit longer. That's why they did that. I wish they'd given more reason for us to think, oh, he's talentedly dodging them or getting out of the way of them, or even like doing something to make the archers off their game. But yeah, once he had dodged the 100th arrow, I was like, can you?
It's like put one.
So, couple of things.
Yeah, you go.
So I am an archer, okay, and I shoot medieval longbow up to 110 pound. And so a couple of insights about this. Aiming through arcing an arrow to pinpoint a moving target is damn difficult. Really hard. And so I actually didn't mind too much that the accuracy was off. But then it's a matter of volume. And if they're just all arcing, yeah, you would expect a couple to see. And I think they could have sold that a little bit better if he was trying to time some of his movements with the arcing of the arrow and just get in cover. They rain down and then he gets out, he slashes up and then gets in cover. But it's not as bad as perhaps some people might think, because at that range, it's actually a very hard shot to make. You would have to be a damn good archer or just very lucky.
I was completely with you on that. I thought that's what they were going for at first, that he was aware of the volley times, and so he would get in cover every time, almost like a video game, which is fine with me. Video games are pretty cool, I like them. But and I think the fact that he got hit with 3 arrows, I think at one point, I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, and something I also loved, it showed the armor essentially saving his life on the main shots. They penetrated a little bit. I think that's even being too generous. If it's plate armor at that range, those arrows wouldn't even penetrate really, and so I was perfectly fine with him surviving that. He got shot in the leg, but maybe he could shrug it off. Is a badass after all.
Yeah, just flesh wounds. I think he's fine.
Look at how happy he's taking the whole family out. Look at that. That's but Shad, what about Marvel's Katie and the kill shot and Shang-Chi?
That pissed me off on so many levels. One, the insane range of that shot. And this bow, because this is the first time she's picking it up, should barely be 20 pounds. Like, she would not even be able to shoot a 50-pound bow. And a 50-pound bow is considered a high poundage for casual Olympic-style archery. I know, I've done it. And not even a 100-pound bow, let alone a 200-pound bow, could reach that range. And then the fact that she's just so good. God, freaking
hey, the old dude trained her for like a day, okay? So
bull crap.
Good enough. By the way,
doesn't like bastards.
That picture you just showed of you can see the 2-year-old there. That line from Otto is so addictive of his character, where they're like, he's he's coming of age, and he's like, yes, but he still ate porridge with his hands this morning. It's like, he's 2, man. Like,
I thought that was kind of his like not good attempt at humor. Is like, I don't know. I was like, hey, yeah.
No, I just thought that it's like Otto's commentary on, like, speed it up, basically. Be more noble, be faster.
That's not a 2-year-old kid, by the way. But no, I'm kidding.
And I like that's about a 2-year-old.
That looks a little. It looks a little older.
Okay.
Well, you got to realize I'm in America.
I can get mine for reference.
We put kids in strollers when they have strollers, and then they get their driver's license. Yeah, we put kids in strollers that are ridiculous here. I think the kid looks. They have to keep them a little older on set. I'm thinking that's 4-year-old. That's me.
Well, if he
it's
is,
been a while since I had a 4-year-old though, like many years.
Because judging from what they said, like, we're moving a year forward for the next episode, so they might keep the same actor for the kid there.
Well, we forgot to mention that. It's 3 years later in this episode.
Yes.
So they have been fighting in the Stepstones for 3 effing years.
Yeah.
Again, the Valerians don't have like a huge military. They're rich, so they're hiring cell swords. Cell swords suck. Okay, they usually half of them quit, and it depends on what company, and especially what they didn't explain is like the Triarchy would block or take over the contract. All kinds of shit like that would happen, and it depends on what kind of company you have. It's too bad the Second Sons didn't hire the Second Sons, but the Second Sons weren't around back.
Also, someone just said I thought it was 2 years. It's 3 years because conceived, child, birth, 2 years old. That's and I think someone says 3 years since
3 years.
Yeah. So
one of the ladies, we saw red wine. That was cool. And a Lady Lannister. And I like, I liked it when they went in the tent. They're sitting down and eating their cakes. I'm down with some of these scenes. I like all this shit. I want all the fantasy. If it matters, if it means something. I mean, it's not just characters walking up and describing other characters.
All the killing and the crazy big payoffs, they're all downstream of these smaller conversations that we end up seeing. So as long as they're really well done, I'm interested in where they're going.
Just as a comparison, right, where every scene was important to move the plot forward and everything, compare that to Rings of Power, where they're climbing that mountain. There was no point to that. Like they get to the point, it was just there to try and have this epic scene, and it was useless. It actually made them look utterly retarded because why did you do it? It didn't seem like you needed to at all.
And then to have them finally reach the top and go, so can we go back down? It's like, oh, I guess so.
And it's not just one, like it's very surface level in Rings of Power. Each scene means one thing. There's no subtlety. There's no layers. Each scene in House of the Dragon means about 4 or 5 things.
Honestly,
right?
Gary, you're lucky if it means one thing. We were going over that on EFAP. Some of this stuff was like repeated information. Like they'll spend a scene telling you something we already knew, and it's just like, come on, do something.
No, it's amateur hour compared to at least somebody who knows what the hell they're doing. And hopefully we're back in or at least this show needs to, they have to try with House of the Dragon. I have no doubt that most of the powers that be that were involved with Game of Thrones and the executives at Warner Brothers are gone. They're all gone. These are new people. Other than like even George wasn't around in the last, it's still his fucking fault. But we have a new showrunner. We have David Zaslav, and we'll see.
And they all knew, by the way, for everybody wondering, they all knew the vibe. Like the audience are in a tough spot with Game of Thrones. We need to build it back up a bit, start setting foundations, and careful, slow, don't piss everyone off. We should be all right. That's and that's the thing. Still not recommending it until I see the full season because who knows how this ends.
And with not, pissing everyone off, it's baffling their marketing and conversations around the show because, like, why would you do that? But the thing is about these episodes so far, you can't accidentally make a show like this. All right, you can't accidentally have dialogue that has double meanings and setting up specific arcs and everything like that. You can only do this when you know what you're doing because you approach it intentionally. Every scene is doing something. This reflects competence, talent, skill. So if they just have these people in control of the show and keep them in control of the show, there's a sign of hope. There's a sign of hope. We'll have to see though.
Yeah, I mean, like we're nowhere near recommending. I didn't start out stream. I should have. It's been 4,072 days since the release of A Dance with Dragons. Well over 11 years and almost 2 months. So if you want to buy a Song of Ice and Fire book, I would not recommend you buy a Song of Ice and Fire book at all because the story's not going to finish. If you need to, buy it secondhand for $1. But I would not buy one on Amazon. I would not buy Fire and Blood. This is better than Fire Blood. This is better than Fire Blood. I'm sure the book readers will probably go sacrilege, but like he did a good. Oh, go on.
You don't even need to say don't buy it. People will end up getting them through inheriting it and generations of their family getting passed down with how long this is taking. Like
I know, right? My kids will get the books. They'll be able
You're just like, don't read them. They're not finished.
The only reason I haven't tossed them in the freaking garbage is because I paid a bunch of money for some of the like really nice ones with the art, and, like their collector's edition. Like, I can't throw these away. Fuck. I'll let my kids sell them. But I got rid of all my Game of Thrones. I do not own Game of Thrones season. I had season 1 through 7, never bought 8, and just freaking gave them away. I gave them away to patrons when I had Patreon at the time. I just send them to people. They probably threw them away too. They fucking thanks a lot and canceled their Patreon membership. They should have. But yeah. And then I'm not going to watch it ever again. What's the point? It's like, what? I'm going to stop at season 4. Well, that's a good place to stop.
That's what I did. I started like season 4 or 5. It's like I know where this is going. I've seen episodes of the later seasons just for review and things, and also I know the whole plot. So I was like, yeah, this is a good place.
Dude, entire episodes, nothing happened in the later seasons. Like it was just moving pieces to get to like Hard Home, which was a good episode. That was our White Walker episode. That ended up being the best one.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. When it was supposed to be the beginning. Because you say, like, it's 4 seasons. It's like, 4 seasons and some highlights there. Because, like, we mentioned Olenna when we were talking about some stuff when we were watching the episode. And it's just like, there are scenes with her. She's still in the show. She's still great. Scenes with.
We were discussing Olenna Tyrell and Marjorie Tyrell and how good they were early on.
Mm-hmm.
They knew the game. They knew how to play it.
Well, do you remember, Gary? There was Olenna was worried that Marjorie was basically brainwashed and screwed over by the religious sort of side of the Sparrows people, and Olenna was like to the point of almost like threatening the Tyrells will go to war with what's going on here, and then she keeps getting reassured by Marjorie, who hands her a piece of paper with a rose on it, and all the people, all the fans were like, "Oh, Marjorie's playing the long game. She's not brainwashed. She's pretending to be so that she can maintain the Tyrells dead." Oh.
Yep.
Okay. Sure. I guess so.
And I'm sure the showrunner's explanation was, she was playing the long game, but then we had to kill her. It's like,
and that was the big problem with, I think, what screwed them over alongside all the other reasons was that they had all these beautiful threads, and they were like, "Well, time to cut them all off because the show's ending." It's like,
because we have big Hollywood contract things to do. No, we don't. Now they don't.
Not anymore.
Yep. Oh well, HBO should have fired him, kept him on his EPs, and brought in somebody who gave a damn. And I'm sure. Well, that's why George handpicked this showrunner. Like, this is George's idea. And by the way, this has been in production since Game of Thrones was still in production. So George on the sly was working on another show, which as a book reader pisses me off to no end. It just fucking pisses me off to no end. It's like, fucking A, man. Fuck the show. What are the North's thoughts on Bastards? Same as the Realm. Is it Luce's Dorne? No. I know they are not as hated as they are in the South, except in Dorne. Not as hated, but they still call him Bastard, even on the wall. Some Northern men call him Bastard, But having Ned Stark, being Ned Stark's bastard is a big deal in the North. Like, they'll respect him, But he wasn't.
No,
he wasn't. He was royalty. Josh Hoffman for $9.99. So how long till George doesn't finish the second Ice and Fire book? And if the Winds of Winter is finished, which book will people be most mad about? Ruining a second show or ruining a Song of Ice and Fire in general? Well, they have an ending to this story. So even though the book series technically isn't finished, I hope he never fucking finishes Fire and Blood. Fuck Fire and Blood. There's an ending. There's a I wouldn't call it definitive, but they're going to have to end it. I think they're going to do an anthology series. Here's the problem, though. The stories we want to see won't have dragons. Like, we want to see Dunk and Egg, right? Shad, we want to see Dunk and Egg.
Oh, yeah.
But
a good Dunk and Egg. Don't you dare ruin Dunk and Egg.
Oh, with Bloodraven, dude. Bloodraven.
Dude, I want to see a good Robert's Rebellion, but good
Rebellion, yeah. I'd be down with that, and then remake Game of Thrones, except not in current era, maybe in some other realm. that we don't live in. But thank you. I appreciate that. So a lot of this was like, this felt like we're leading up to Viserys' death, to be honest with you. It really does feel like,
man, that clock is ticking for a bit.
Yeah,
it is. But we get the big, like, especially with Rhaenyra. I'm looking at the picture. I'll pull it up right now, where she's finally looking at him and she looks happy. Like, she looks like when he says,
yeah,
hey, you need to get married, but you can choose. You can choose. You can choose who you get married to. And that's giving her that little look. Like,
what a nice father. Like he's trying to balance the duties, responsibility of the realm, but he's trying to give his daughter what she wants. It's like, good on you.
For me, he's getting pulled from all over the place, getting pulled apart. Poor guy.
Yeah, the only thing I'm going to have to reconcile is the actress playing the older version doesn't look anything like this one at all.
Well, when I first saw the picture of the older actress, I was like, oh, they're supposed to be the same. I thought that was a completely different new character. And I'm like,
no.
Oh, okay.
Is that, when are we doing that time jump? Is it the episode after the next one, I guess?
That's got to be soon. I'm guessing halfway through the season.
Yeah, okay. Is there 8 episodes?
There's 10.
10? Okay, all right, yeah. Well, we'll be here for a while talking about this, eh?
and I'm on board. And if it's bad, we'll roast it,
Yeah.
And that's going to be like Rhaenyra and Alicent will change. Who else is somebody? There's 2 other characters. Oh, Laenor, and obviously his little sister, Laena, will change. Well, maybe Laenor won't change. Maybe he's old enough. I don't know. But there's still one more of you see them walking on the beach in scenes before, so they're obviously going to get to talk at some point, and that is the best match by far. That is the politically smart move. But there's a little problem with Laenor being gay. But Josh Hoffman says $4.99. My point is, once they want to renew House of the Dragon beyond Fire and Blood Part 1 or Dunk and Egg or Season 4, there are no books. How much carnage will there be? Ooh, yeah. Like Dunk and Egg, there's enough books to keep you going for 3-4 seasons. Robert's Rebellion could keep you going for 3-4 seasons. But like with no dragons, I think HBO is going to have a hard time with it. I think you got to look at it from Josh. You make perfect sense, but we're dealing with bankers who don't watch any of this shit, so they're gonna go, "Where are the dragons? The dragons? Is there boobs? Is there boobs? Dragons?
But, is there boobs in this one? This is the second episode with none. And look,
yeah.
I prefer that. I think you should have a show that relies on the quality of the writing. And if there is something that is actually would build the scene in context, makes sense to have nudity, I can see that justified. But at the moment, look, my own bias perspective, I'm glad about it. I think it's,
I agree with you that there was no scene that necessarily required them. Fine. Sorry, chat. I tried to defend the boobies.
Dude. There's got to be boobs in this. Yeah. I demand boobs. Over dragons. So there, I'll be the boob guy. No problem.
Maybe a compromise. Dragons with boobs. We'll do
Scaly
that.
Boobs? I'm not too sure about that.
Yeah.
Not too sure about that. Elizabeth Olsen is going to be in season 2.
Oh, really?
Did you hear about that? Yeah.
Yeah, Shad, do you maintain this position of no boobs now?
Do you?
I do. I do. I mean, I'm a Mormon. What do you expect?
Hey, every rules are made to be broken.
Sorry.
Well, it's a misconception. Like, of course, I'm a man, but I have my wife.
I want, that's a good man. That's a good man.
I don't have a wife. So I'm free.
I really enjoyed this. I love Damon's reaction to the letter and what he said, what he did after. So much character with no dialogue whatsoever, unlike some shows, says Night King for $5. Good point.
Yeah, it's interesting. At first, I was like, what? Why is he doing it? And then, I see what you're doing. Yes, I like it. I like it was, and again, not a single line to explain it. And I was just like, that's the show really like it was. I was already enjoying it, but that is like, yeah.
Yeah. Like remember the Gold Cloaks love Damon. Like the people of Flea Bottom love him. So like it's really strange that he would not have the men, but he was despondent for a while and he needed something to light a fire under his ass. And this was it. He needed his king to come out and help. He's like, oh, fuck no. Oh, no.
Yeah, you're not taking this victory from me. This is mine. It's like,
or I will die.
Yeah, and I loved that.
I think they did a really good job because I was kind of expecting it's like he's going to have an angry reaction, right? But hopefully something in the letter prompts him beyond his brother simply saying, hey, man, got some ships. It's this wording where he says, I wish I had the quote exactly, but he basically says, like, we don't want to see you fail.
Yeah.
Like,
and
honestly, on the series sites, even have Patty reading it. It sounds very sincere. Like, I'd hate to see something like that happen to you, but when Damon's reading it, you can totally imagine him seeing it as a sort of like, yeah, I suck, don't I? Yeah, okay.
And especially, he thinks his brother is weak. The very idea of his brother coming to save him is just like, what? You can see why he flipped out. It's just so in line with his character. Good to see.
Yeah, well, it's what you were saying at the beginning in the non-spoiler part, but now we can spoiler it all. It's the he's doing something ridiculous in the end scene, right? It's very dangerous, but it's all supported. It's exactly what
it's justified, perfectly justified.
But I will say he's ruining the white flag for everyone else.
I don't trust that white flag anymore.
I mean, my one criticism, right, was after he gets shot in the arrow. Well, not one criticism, but this was like, he gets shot in the arrow, right? I'm not sure that would have prompted the entire army hiding in the caves to rush out. You could have securely taken out an injured, still high-valued target with like 20 men. You'd almost be guaranteed just as a group.
Yeah,
with a Valyrian steel, a lineage blade, not one from another family. That is a Targaryen Valyrian steel sword. That's the only thing I cared about. It's like, don't give up the sword. Don't lose the sword. Don't lose the sword. But yeah,
I think what they wanted to show us, they kept showing us the crab feeder keeping an eye out for the dragon and sending people in groups. It seemed to me that they were trying to say that the crab feeder is being very careful with moving his pawns, if you will, not sending them all at once to get them all obliterated. It was only at the end that he was like, oh, fuck it, send everybody. The dragon's clearly not here. And then it was like, oh, but he is. Which, in a sense, this is why I kind of agree with you. It's just like, the crab feeder seemed like, was the crab feeder not a smart character?
Yeah,
you think that he'd be like, why would Damon do this if not to draw out as many people as possible? That's like the only thing you'd expect him to be doing here. It feels like a trap.
Yeah, I mean, one of the few things I could think of right now, I'm not sure if I could come up with a better idea with more thought, that would entice the entire army to come out is to put his dragon on the line, to protect, like, set up something that the dragon is vulnerable. If you don't send everyone to take out this dragon now, the dragon will get free. That might have done it for me to convince me that could have happened. At the moment, what was shown in the show, I just can't find a way to justify it. It's like, wow, you just threw away your entire army for what's not a good reason.
No, but it really was a cool looking scene. But
it was a great scene. It was a great scene, and my enjoyment of nearly everything else is what makes me I can get because Damon is I loved how because it makes sense that they would first send out cautious groups, over 1 or 2, and they're spread out enough that. What I don't like is when like 10 people surround all at once, but it makes sense that they're spread out and is taking on one at a time, and he takes them on like a bat. That was great. I loved those moments where he's like, bang, bang, take out one, get to another. He's running it, under arrow fire to cover and things like that. I was like, all right, this is cool. I'm on board, right? And a lot of the large scale battle when everyone comes out, it looked high production, well done. Like it's a chaotic melee. You just see big, smashes, people getting killed, but it all looked really well done, well shot, all that. And then seeing Damon look at the crab feeder walk in, he's just like, "Oh no, you're not getting away." And walking out with this shot, I was like, yeah.
That was good. We needed a good melee because we didn't see it in anything else for sure.
This is what we were talking about last week, right? We're like, hopefully we'll speed up a bit, and it felt like this episode sped up, not just in action scenes, but in characters getting to boiling points.
Absolutely, and Night King is right. I'm trying to recall Damon saying a line of dialogue, and he didn't.
He didn't speak much at all. No,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think he said a thing.
Did he not speak at all in the episode? Holy shit!
He didn't say a thing. Not a word of dialogue. He gets the beats the shit out of the messenger, and goes out and becomes bait. Waves the white flag.
Wow,
that's really cool. I didn't think about that.
That's brilliant. That is brilliant. Like so much was conveyed through his character, and not without a single line.
He said, "Ouch."
Ouch. That is genuinely brilliant. That's I love it.
Matt Damon Targaryen. I'm going to say that for the rest of the year now.
Well, some people are saying he spoke in the beginning. I'm trying to remember. Did he?
He might have, but it feels like, did he? I got to mute for this.
Yeah.
He was yelling at Crab Feeder in the opening battle. Oh, that's true. Right at the beginning. Yeah, he does say, like, come out and face me or whatever.
Okay.
Wait, Gary,
you're
muted.
Gary, you're muted. I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. He did use dialogue in the beginning of the show. You're right.
That is correct. Let's call it the prologue, okay? The episode.
I don't know, but still, like, no dialogue from when he lands and receives the message to the end.
That's still pretty cool.
That's amazing. Yeah.
It's called acting. But no, we should have had somebody standing next to him going, "This is Matt Damon Targaryen, the younger brother of Viserys, the warrior of the Stepstones, and he's covered in crab feeder blood, and he's wearing black armor." Somebody should be doing that all the time.
Yeah, you should have had.
Seriously though, if this was made by the people who made Rings of Power, you would have someone there like spelling everything out. Mm-hmm. He is clearly so angry because he doesn't want his brother to defend him. Oh no, he might do something reckless now as a result. What will he do? We will have to wait. Like, that's how bad Rings of Power is. They have no faith in the audience's intelligence, where they spell things out and then repeat it as well.
And so that's like comparing negatively to them. And then to give a positive example from Rings of Power, I literally highlight, I think, Rings of Power when we were talking about this, when we saw the scene, Gary, but Viserys is kind of ranting about the reality of why he made certain decisions at certain points. And he said, I never thought that. And then Alison's like, never thought what? And then he just starts talking about how Targaryens, the difference between like dreamers and sort of basically you're supposed to interpret what was he talking about there. What did he think was never possible? And it's like, obviously the having a son, having a wife, having all of that again. He lost all of it. He thought it was never going to happen again, but here he is. And he's trying to say, like, we're all very like, we don't think like, oh, the greatest things will happen to us. He's talking about how fucking depressing he thought everything was going to be. He's been provided
wife that he feels like based on this prophecy. Yeah.
There's so much to draw from the performance and the dialogue instead of having her going like, so you feel as though, and then lists everything. And you're just like, right, okay.
No, they leave some stuff for us to figure out. They set up what sucks is we're having to point this out now when we didn't before. Like, this is just how writing was before.
Yeah, exactly. Like, when writing was good, there was subtext, there was things to be interpreted, there was things conveyed, not with dialogue, and it makes it really engaging. And contrast that with Rings of Power, where it's dog crap, where they spell such obvious crap out. Like, when they're hitting the rocks with the hammers and the door says, something, the dwarven test for endurance. It's like, oh, you think we couldn't have figured that out by the scene itself?
Exactly. Why couldn't they just done it?
Everyone in the scene, like, who, if this was real, existing in the world, would have known what it is. And so him just saying it is so obviously just for the audience, when the audience is not that stupid that it's not obvious.
We were talking about our EFAP, so it's like if they just started breaking stones in turns while looking at each other and feeling like, you broke another one, now it's my turn. It's like, we would have gathered what's happening. Don't you worry, we have brains.
Welcome to the Padres-Dodgers game where a pitcher is going to get on the mound and pitch to a hitter who will hit the ball. That's why you're all here. You need to decide.
In case none of you knew.
Never seen baseball before. Go Padres. But dwarves are tough, you know. They are. And they managed to make one look really effing good. King Durin III looked fucking great. That was like, woo, that was good. Well done. You did one good thing.
That was like scrape at the bottom of the barrel, man. It's like, where is anything we can praise in this?
I liked one of the music tracks, the dwarven one. I don't know what it's called.
Everything dwarven was fine. I mean, like, you could tell that's the one thing they cared about. You know, like, let's get the dwarves right.
Dude, not to rant more about Rings of Power, but when we were going over on EFAP, it was so funny. We were talking about Elrond's line about like how, you know, it's so amazing that something could grow. Or she was saying nobody could believe that the tree could grow in such a horrible way. Literally, it was like it's bathed in sunlight behind them as they're talking, and it's just like I don't
know. I fucking water it, and it's in the sun.
Like all of them didn't believe he could grow it in a place where they've grown shit tons of grass, fauna, all kinds of like. I was like, God, who wrote this? Like,
well, think of how much that would stand out. And I know they're totally different shows. One is, you know, very nihilistic and dark and adult, and the other one's supposed to be a family show. But like, that's Hollywood's mentality. They don't know what good and bad is. They don't know what families want. Like, stuff that we liked wasn't written for kids. Okay, wasn't written for kids. You asked Frank Miller, who wrote Daredevil, were you writing for kids? He'd go, fuck no, I wasn't writing for kids. No, I had people dying and I had ninjas coming in, chopping people's heads off and stuff. It's fine. I mean, like, we just write. That's all you need to do is write. The parents will figure out what the kids can watch, and the kids will watch it anyway. And just write. Don't worry about it. Jesus. The show is. Oh, go on.
Well, do this first, because mine thing's a little bit different.
The show is a palate cleanser. It's starting what HBO is putting out. It's looking like an HBO versus Amazon situation. It is.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. It is. Amazon announced their release date first, and HBO sat and waited, and then announced that they're going to release House of the Dragon 2 weeks before Rings of Power. That was deliberate. That was absolutely deliberate.
And that's the thing, right? If someone was to say, yeah, well, Amazon will win in numbers, like, even if they do, the true victory is not the numbers, okay?
It's the comparison. Just look at the difference in quality and writing.
On that note, I was just going to bring up in terms of, because we were complimenting the dialogue, right? You had, I forget the name of the guy. He was a Lannister, the one that was trying to marry Rhaenyra.
I think it was.
He was. Oh my God, he was digging his own grave with Ceres. Not necessarily on purpose. He was desperately trying to crawl out of it, but he just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Now that was happening because Viserys was not in the mood. It's not something you can argue yourself out of. He's just angry and frustrated and stuff. Compare that directly with Otto later, who suggests something that he's trying to float some ideas, get some stuff in there, and Viserys responds really badly to the whole like marry your 2-year-old with your 17-year-old or whatever. And he responds like angrily, confused, and then Otto immediately is like, "Oh, bye. I'm just gonna. It's no problem." I'm like,
no more.
Not gonna talk about, because Otto recognizes like, you know, he's not in the mood. This isn't gonna work. And if anything, I'm gonna make myself look bad. So I'll just eject. I'll talk to him again later. Like, it's such a great little way to show the difference between these characters and their awareness. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and again, that is like absolute competent writing versus kindergartners, what's what we're dealing with right now. I was going to read what was I going to say? I can't remember. I'll remember. Grumpy Ficus for $20 says, "Hail all." Oh wait, I read that one. Sorry.
So I'll just throw out a line that that Viserys says that I really liked. He's like, "It is not my wish to command her. I wish her to be happy." It's like, he's a good dad. He's tried his best. It's like,
dude, I think that made Otto like pull back, didn't it? He was like confused for a second. He was like, "Make her happy? What the fuck?"
And contrast that to how he treats his own daughter. It's like, my daughter is a tool who will serve my ends no matter what. It's like, you know.
Oh, that cut deep on Otto. So Otto's just gonna fine. I'll just duty my daughter to death.
Mm-hmm.
And it was another scene setting something up later. I'll just say something crazy. Thank you for the thumbs up, CGT. Paul Anderson for $5. House of Dragon is beating Ring. Oh, that's what I was going to talk about. Beating rings like how Shad beat Lofty last night. Yeah, Lofty's Lofty. You know, Lofty's.
Hey,
I had fun.
From what I have gathered, Lofty's consistent. All right.
He like. What I can say about Lofty, like everyone, like the chat was against him. The super chats were railing him over the coals, and I was pretty amazed at how he took it. He took it all. He took it all, and like good on him. At the end, he was a good sport. We ended amicably on good terms. I had to duck out because the family had arrived home, but it was fun. I had a great time, and I don't know. I hope he did.
You got him towards the end. There's it's just. If he likes it, that's fine. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
He's just worried about like a lot of minutia that you just can't worry about. You know, like people are going to try to get a rise, especially when you bring all the focus on yourself, especially with like retweeting trolls and stuff. It's like let them have their say. I don't block anybody. I don't mute anybody on Twitter ever. Like you can have your say. Say whatever you want. I got roasted like hell on the Batman trailer review. I got that's my only video that's ever been ratioed. Good. Ratio me. Now I feel I've been a little vindicated since then, but hey, either that, but at the time I had the very unpopular opinion and I took it the way I'm supposed to take. I'm like, you know what? Can't win them all, baby. That's
the same right now. There's a lot of people, I've even seen them in chat being like, why the fuck are you praising this terrible show? And it's like, sorry, that's the take. That's the take. The honesty part, it's coming out no matter what.
Yep. That's all I can do. I mean, we're covering the show. It's good. It's not like I'm not going to put this in top 20 shows, top 30 shows that I've seen at all. It's just out right now compared to She-Hulk and Rings of Power and pretty much everything I've seen for Marvel, except for Spider-Man, which is back in theaters, and I'm going to go see with my son tomorrow. Can't wait. And yeah, everything is shit. So it does elevate this a little bit. It just does. But this episode was good. I thought was good all the way through.
It's interesting, like, because if I was to compare this against Game of Thrones season 1, right? Season 1 was more engaging, better dialogue, more conflict. That was really just a lot more subtext in the machinations and all that. And so if I was to gauge House of Dragon as a whole at the moment, I'd probably be sitting on maybe a 7 out of 10 around there.
Yeah, 6, 7,
something like that. Yeah.
So yeah.
Because I remember even in Game of Thrones, right? Like when you have all these different pieces and they're all intertwining really fun ways. Like we get to really like Tyrion individually, and then you have Littlefinger being like, "Oh, this knife it belonged to Tyrion," and we're like, "Oh no, is that true? Like what's going on there?" And then he's like happily talking to Catelyn in whatever like tavern it is, and then she gets everyone to pull their swords all over him. You're like, "Oh my god, what the fuck?" And then you have like Tywin and Jaime discovering that Tyrion's been taken captive by the Starks, and you're like, "Oh, this is already ramping up great." And it's like we've only just set the groundwork, and that's not to say this show isn't doing the same thing. It sure it is. It's just that it's hard to compete with Game of Thrones. That show really earned its place before it destroyed its own throne, so to speak.
Yep. Absolutely. And as far as the viewer, like nobody doubted it would like be watched by a lot of people. We got to take Amazon's word for it. There's no data supporting 25 million worldwide viewers. Was it all the way through, or is it views, which can sometimes, like Netflix, be counted in a minute? Don't know. So let's just say it's true. Look for them announcing absolutely nothing next week or the following week, because I promise you the viewership will drop 50% by the next episode.
Not if we keep up all those articles about all those fans being racist. It's gonna be great. We'll keep spooling around everybody's outrage. That's the outrage machine. That's how we'll get more views on it, I guess. Oh
well, the Hollywood Reporter needs that. Alluding to Tolkien being racist was
I think the most
doozy.
Most fascinating thing to me is I've seen a lot of coverage of this, been a part of a lot of coverage with it, and I mean, how little time is spent on the sort of like DSO or whichever thing that is usually headlining these articles. It's like, oh, my main issues, and it seems to be with everyone else, just how fucking poorly written it is. Like that seems to be what we're focusing on, but oh well.
Yeah, the guy Ismail Cruz, I mean, he wasn't good, but he wasn't bad. You can tell clearly he's given nothing to do. Like their whole storyline was looking like they want to fuck and then they can't.
Exactly. That's the only characteristic I have is that he wants to go out with the lady. 2 hours. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Absolutely unacceptable. So yeah, look to not hear an announcement of views on episodes 3 through 8. That would be my guess. You know, they'll always say it's number 1 in America, but they don't show any effing metrics. We're taking the company's word for it. That is some bullshit. And this is an industry that loves to brag about box office numbers. All of a sudden, they're secretive about streaming numbers. Weird. If they were really that high, you'd want to and show them. Show some receipts. Show some receipts. That's all I gotta say. Might House of the Dragon get an unbridled praise?
No. I don't think it's that good. It depends. Maybe if the season ends real strong, you know, I could be compelled to want to do. I don't see it though. If it maintained how good it is right now, it would be like a lot of shows where I'm like, yeah, you should check that out. You know, it's fun, good. I want to praise where it's deserved, but like to make an unbridled praise, that shit has to be like, it has to get me in my heart, right? Because it's funny, right? This is probably already better than, dare I say, the coherency of Infinity War, and I made a praise for that. It's like, yeah, but that was because it was a culmination of so many different, my investment in the MCU before it got absolutely shattered. So, you know, it's complicated, but I can't see myself. I don't even know what it would look like to make a praise video for a whole season. You know, I guess I would try and do it like by character or something. But hey, add some more boobs, and I'll think about it.
Yeah. Right.
Specifically, dragon boobs. MauLer already said that he's on board with that. So scaly dragon boobs.
I've changed my mind. Get me more human boobs, please.
Yeah, weird, Shad. I was fully expecting to roast the shit out of this.
Yeah, I was too, kind of.
I mean, the marketing, they were pushing it as like such a subversive, political, woke piece of crap. Comes out, barely, can't see it. It's like, what?
And totally redefined, because like when I saw the first episode, I was like, oh, it's not going to be terrible, it's going to be boring. I see. And then my whole definition of boring got redefined like a week later.
The bar got lowered over the last 3 or 4 days. We're like,
I was telling you, we talked about it, but like even the first episode, I was like, you know, I wish there were more than just 3 or 4 characters that I kind of like. I was like, wow, that was count your lucky stars, you get that much. Jeez. Yep. We were talking about it, but because it's in DMs, but also with the streams we did. Episode 1 of Rings of Power, you can, with every scene, it's almost like a new setting and a new character. So there's plenty to establish and talk about with like an audience in terms of like, oh, this is happening and this is what they are. Episode 2, oh my god, every other scene is like, what do I say about this one? It's nothing's happening. They continue to do the thing you already knew they were doing. We were talking about this on EFAB. It's such an interesting idea. She bumps into the raft, and then that raft is like, they have a bit of a back and forth about whether or not they'll have her on, and then they bump into the monster, and then this whole action scene happens, and then he separates his ship, he comes to, and it's like, you could have just had it, she bumped into him. That could have been it. But instead, you added all that shit to pad the runtime and give us an action scene, didn't you? That's the only reason all of it was there.
That monster attack did nothing to further character plot or anything. It was, you could cut out the entire thing, and where the characters end up, exactly the same.
So interesting you say that. You can actually edit it so that she's swimming, and then it just cuts to him with his raft, and then she gets on the raft.
Yes,
that's it.
And he holds out the head. And you're there.
If someone saw that and didn't see that there was a huge action scene, what did they miss? What would they not understand? That's what I don't like.
And the arguing about like her swimming across the ocean, it's ridiculous. It's stupid. And she should have never been there. That never fucking happened. It was.
I cannot impress enough how utterly retarded that is, where she kills us, she commits suicide basically in the middle of an ocean. There, if you apply even the most generous logical likelihood, she would never run into anyone in that ocean. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's so rare for people to sail to Valinor anyway, and so this isn't a regular trade route or anything. And I can't stand it. She isn't in the ocean like thinking, oh, I'm totally screwed. She's just like,
well,
I'll swim. And the context is like, she literally thinks she'll just swim back. And my jaw was on the floor. Like,
so confident she took her brother's knife. And for anybody who thought she was in a trance and she accidentally did it, no, I've watched this, unfortunately, 5 times. She looks at the knife, starts walking backwards, and has a little doubt, and then leaves. Jumps out of the fucking. It's a jump. So it's clear I'm leaving. I'm not going to heaven, so I can finish my mission of vengeance.
When that episode finished, I can't remember who I was watching with, but I remember saying like, "Oh no, it's not. She's not swimming back. She'll have set up something because she was always unsure. She'll have had a boat chasing this whole thing just in case she decided to go back." And then I was like, maybe she'll do some elf magic and ride a whale back or some stupid. I was like, it won't be that she swims back. That would be stupid. Like.
And that's what they go with. Like, you're right. You could have gone for anything and it still would have been contrived, but it would have been better than that. And I was actually thinking, like, Valinor, like, it was connected to the mainland. There's no magical portal according to the lore at this point in the history. And so I was thinking she'd get off the boat and like, nah, I changed my mind. I'm sailing back. See ya. And she just
it's like not closed off. It would have been better if like everybody like raptured, disappeared, and she was just left on the ship, and it was
like a rejection
of like,
good point. Like that would have, yep.
And then she'd have a ship.
Yes.
You know what you can't do? Think of House of the Dragon. The episode we just watched. How much could you cut out of this? Maybe a couple of shots at arrow shots at Daemon.
But the thing is, I would even argue they have a purpose to build the suspense and action. Like, so much of this episode is important, effectively utilized for building the show, making it better. And
the conversations, like the little strolling in the Kingswood between Kristen Cole and Rhaenyra it was more engaging than anything in the Rings of Power for 2 hours. And they were just small talking, but we got more out of it. And it's like, wow, that's how bad things have gotten, though. They've just gotten so bad, dude.
Like, it's baffling. Like, if anyone was just to apply the most basic level of quality standards to Rings of Power, how could they say it's got good writing in it? It's such complete crap. It's unbelievable.
Dragonsworn for $10 says, stop it. It can't get any worse. These people keep taking it as a challenge. They do. They really do.
Like, She-Hulk is another example. How could it get worse?
After MOM, and then it's like, go see Thor: Love and Thunder, and it's like, wow, you did it again. Like, what?
Yeah. Now, you think Doctor Strange Mom is the worst Marvel movie, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
With the fact that they established a rule where the whole world destroys itself just by America existing in it, I thought that was that's such a Michael Waldron thing to write.
Yeah, they really did. Like, he outdid himself on Loki, which was just like lore shattering, like MCU shattering.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, well, that's why I still think like Secret Wars are going to reset everything. They're going to have to, because they've just fucked things up. And I don't know if I'm going to give a damn by then, but we'll see.
I don't care now. It's ruined. I don't give a crap. The MCU ended with Endgame. That's it. That's my canon.
I mean, Guardians 3 though, maybe,
maybe. But when Jon Favreau comes out and says, "Hey, I tried to talk the Russo brothers out of killing Tony Stark, and they didn't listen. It was just a dumb move." You don't have to kill everybody to get him off screen. He can retire. Mm-hmm. Get somewhere else. You can recast it. I don't know.
Well, I don't mind Iron Man dying there in Endgame. I thought that was suitable for the arc, right?
Yeah, I could have. I would be like you could use him as a character still in the MCU for important plot points and things if he's still around. I go either way.
I think everything built up to a very easy, satisfying, emotional scene that was completely unnecessary. I think killing Iron Man ultimately is stupid.
Because I was actually going to say my issues with it are more logistical. There was no reason to kill him in that moment for different reasons. Like and you could have saved his life too. The stones were right there. Doctor Strange can literally heal him with reversing it. And there's questions about like, was everyone's being retarded in that scene? We got to get the stones into the Ant-Man's van. It's like, no.
You have portals. Portals.
Everyone is so fucking stupid. It's so annoying.
Yeah. I might rip that movie apart someday. Cause like when I was like, I did my initial review of it. By the end of the review, I was liking it so much less. I was like,
it sank quick. Yeah. Well, if anyone's interested, a fully edited sort of Longman type videos made by Fringy about Endgame. It's a 2-hour one. He goes through all.
Yeah, he does. It's very good. It's very good.
He's not a fan of that movie anymore. Not many people are actually who were previously in love with it. It definitely aged badly.
Jay Schwalbach for $122.12. Thank you, my friend. Says, why am I doing this to myself? Is how I feel watching this shit. Rings. This is how I felt before I went into rehab in 1992. Coke and vodka was a lot more fun than this shit. Plus, a village in South America loved me. Hail the two bills. Hey, you know what? That's why we chasing the dragon. I guess we look for that high again. We do. We look for good television. That's why I tried to get high a lot. And I just gave it up. I don't want to give up entertainment though, because it's not super, I can quit whenever I want, especially action figures.
Someone in chat just said they were raiding from Sitch and Adam. I think their stream would have just ended. They streamed for like 12 hours at a time as well.
What's up, Sitch and Adam?
Yeah. How's politics? That's what they talk about.
Adamers. Who debated Kerfuffles or whatever her name is, and what's his name now? I was going to make a funny and I forgot the guy's name. The guy everybody likes. Wait, the guy on the left who everybody likes. The Destiny.
He debated Keffels? Is that something that happened?
No, I was just making.
I don't know.
Kerfuffles debate Destiny. I don't know.
Knows?
Kind of stuff they do. Angry Joe liked X-Men. I missed that.
X-Men Origins? Or?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a Destiny. I was like, what?
Angry Joe likes a lot of weird things.
I just call it Kerfuffles. I know who Kerfuffles is. Yeah.
Angry Joe even made that. Oh, wait, I'm echoing a bit. Oh. Okay, we get. Yeah, Angry Joe. Didn't he make that video being like responding to his audience for hating his opinion of She-Hulk episode 1?
That's always good. Down.
Were either of you guys there for? We covered his She-Hulk episode 1 take. I can't remember if both of you had gone by then, but oh my god, on EFAP, and he says to his friend is like, did she really go through more than Bruce has? And then Angry Joe says, have you ever had a period? Like, oh, dude.
What?
Yeah. It's like, have you ever been shot?
Joe. I still like him, but he can say some
He's
whack
a chill
things. Dude. Some of the things he like.
Hey, that what I say is like my reviews probably just as bad if I started taking on video games. I know to stay in my lane. That's all I'm gonna do. Everyone he loves is dead. Now her periods are green, says Guy in chat. Yeah. Well, we don't know that, and I don't want to know that ever. Although that was discussed in the comic store. Trust me, everything being discussed about the show has been discussed 1,000 times. 12-year-olds 30 years ago. Okay.
She-Hulk episode 1 establishes that disposing of her blood is a pretty serious thing. Don't know what she's doing now. She even gets attacked at one of the other episodes for purpose of getting it. So retarded. Like they grab her and she's not. They could have grabbed it right there. Yep.
It's
so stupid.
Shad, that kind of right. I just don't understand it. They grab it like, why couldn't you inject it? And it's like, well, his She-Hulk skin doesn't let us. It's like, so why the fuck didn't you inject it before? What's wrong with you?
We sent out. They had a group. They sent out 2 guys who do get the jump on her, and then wait for her to transform, and then everyone comes out. What are we doing?
It's so stupid.
Bubba Doom 1 for $20 says this is a great bookend to my day. Great. This morning, Az and Lady Gravemaster, we love Lady Gravemaster. Now you all in between chores, Craftman and the like. Cobra Kai. Oh, when is that coming out? Pretty soon. Now you all, is that out yet? When does Cobra Kai come out? Season 5.
Not sure.
Hail the Fellowship while 3D printing Space Marines. Oh, that sounds fun. I love y'all. God bless. Bless to you. Thank you very much. Thank you for the $20. Have fun with those Space Marines. My favorite scene was when Guy Ladriel joins Captain Kirk on the SR2 Normandy and warps Midgar to fight Galactus with an epic "We Are Sparta" battle cry. Gave me chills. Can't wait for more. Yeah, Tolkien born again. Thank you, Wraith Customs Firearms for $10. That trolling is still going on, by the way. In every Lord of the Rings video that they put out, it's beautiful. It is beautiful. I don't know about the others, but I'm genuinely glad Tony died in Endgame. They would have castrated his character if he was still alive. That's a good point.
Is it a good point when they castrated him anyway?
Yeah.
Doesn't even matter that he died.
Yeah.
This is the one thing to think about, is that if Robert Downey Jr. stayed on, maybe he could have stopped him. Because there's audio commentary for Civil War that I really enjoyed, where the writers for that talk about how they would come up with ideas for what Tony would do and say, and then take it to him, Robert Downey Jr. in real life, talk to him about it, go through the scenes with him, and then see if he has additions or subtractions he wants to make based on what he thinks Tony would do and say. And I was like, oh my God, a practice that is absolutely dead in Marvel now. No way they care to do that anymore. And yeah, I don't need to reference it, but Falcon the Winter Soldier, there's like, he don't pay Falcon, but he did pay Hulk to get his little like what do you
what is he? Yeah.
Falcon should have phoned Pepper. He should have been like, hey, your hubby was racist.
You're
not, right?
Served up the money for that. Come on. Thunderstorm for $4.99. Oh, damn it. I just lost the super chat. That sucks. I'll read it over here. Hang on. Give me just a moment. That was just there. And it just fucking, these disappearing super chats are there it is. Thunderstorm for $4.99 says it was great when Galadriel lit a cigar, cocking a shotgun, saying it's Tolkien time, just like the paper books things.
Tolkien time.
It's Tolkien time. No, that's just all the YouTubers. Wraith Customs Firearms, thanks again for the $10 super chat. Space Cake for £5. Best part of Rings of Power was when Elrond and Celebrimbor walked 120 miles to cause a demon in their sandals. That actually
I was gonna bring that up.
I
was gonna bring that up. Like they haven't, the clothes hasn't changed, they're just there. And they could have, like, it's not hard to think of an easy solution. Like, I don't know, give him a giant eagle that they flew or something, you know? It's like they just,
and then talk about missed opportunities. Imagine we cut back to them after some other scenes where they're just in the middle of their journey, they're camping, you know, they got all their supply, and they're just having a meaningful conversation about where they sit in the world, what their plans are. Cut away from them.
Lembas bread, you know, and shoes. And like some travel gear would have worked.
Yep. All you use is bags. Little fucking donkey. Put him on that. I don't know.
I mean, Celebrimbor, he went the entire way. Then the doors are like, nah, go away. And he's like, okay, I'll leave.
All right, bye.
Like, you just traveled this, I don't know, like it would have taken days at least, at the very least, if not a week or something.
Elves can flap their arms real fast and then they'll fly. That's pretty neat.
Josh Hoffman for $4.99 says the difference is Dany let Viserys marry her off. This is true. Rhaenyra didn't let Viserys marry her off. This is also true. But it all ends the same. It all ends the same. You fall in love with the brother. You want to ride around dragons and burn some shit. This Mirage for $5. My biggest issue was when 100 crab people surrounded the doctor and he just stopped. Well, he would have normally whipped out his sonic screwdriver right there. But Matt Smith went fucking shad. It was not the best battle I've ever seen. And they are going to have a hard time finding people who don't have dragons battling people with dragons.
Yeah.
What they're trying to do is show you that dragons are not completely like they won't absolutely win you a battle. It still matters to have soldiers and people.
I think they did a good job of showing friendly fire, right, as well. Like the opening scene with that guy's like, my prince saved me, he just gets killed. And then later you see Corlys as he's fighting, he's very aware of the dragon because he's like, if that thing, fires wrong just a little bit, we're all dead. Which is interesting to keep track of,
It is. And to keep that in mind, because this is a Targaryen civil war. So there will be dragons fighting dragons, and there's still a big fucking dragon out there that they've hinted at. Verax is out there somewhere. It's like the size of a B-52. It's huge. Maybe even bigger. I don't know. Ladies. My biggest, I read that one. Did HBO just crush the Rings of Power producers and writers' careers? Yeah, but I think they just did it by being normal.
I was going to say that they're doing their job better than them, if that's what you're asking. Yeah. I don't know how this will play out, though, obviously, in terms of which show will make more money and stuff like that, but we'll see.
Yeah, I can't see Rings of Prime making money.
The thing with Amazon is, and you have to take this into account, they get to shove that in every Amazon Prime member's face. They better be like, look, Lord of the Rings, you like Lord of the Rings, look. To all, and Amazon Prime is already hyper successful because of, hey man, everyone likes to do it one day with deliveries, okay? They're pretty great. So just, they're shoving it everywhere. Don't they control IMDb as well? Amazon. I saw someone talking about that, and I was just like, oof.
They could control a lot of media outlets, not ones that they just outright own, but they control publishing. They control a lot of the access media based on servers being that they use. Yeah, they control a lot.
So don't be surprised that they can get their own numbers inflated. Why wouldn't they do that?
Pull down Parler. Yeah. Amazon was very complicit in pulling down Parler, which was competing with Twitter almost immediately. Like it was crazy. And they pulled the plug on it. Amazon and Google.
One of the things that I see with where the show might go, it doesn't surprise me if it has huge numbers right out of the gate. But I do expect it to just ebb off, where House of the Dragon is the type of show that will grow. And even after the season's completed, it'll attract people. People will, word of mouth. It's like, hey, I watched it. It wasn't bad. It'll naturally, get pushed to a larger kind of prominence because of its quality. Rings of Power at the moment, it does not have that at all. I've gotten a lot of messages, people saying, I tried episode 1 and I'm out. And it's not going to be remembered as a great show in any measure. Even if it got huge numbers in its first season, it will never, ever be remembered on the same caliber as anything of quality.
Okay, Doctor Who fans, remember how many people watched Jodie's first episode? In the UK, it was like 12 million people. You have 66 million people in your country, and you had almost 1/6 of the country watching that show. And the ratings are now at an all-time low. Like they've never been this low. Even when it was canceled, it's never been this low. The first episode, the second episode, damn near halved. Damn near. And by the fourth episode, they had halved from that first one. So it went from 11 million to 5 to 4 to 3 to 2. And it was just the hangers on after that. Same thing happened to Star Trek Discovery. Bunch of people tuned in to the first couple of episodes. 8 million watched it live on CBS. 8 million watched it. And you can't get 1 million people to watch that show now. That's how bad things are. So it's the same thing's going to happen again because 25 million, the story's dog shit. It's absolute dog shit. This HBO, on the other hand, whether you like House of the Dragon or not, second episode inched up in ratings. Inched up. So from like 10.1 to 10.5, according to HBO. And I think if it maintains that, I think it'll get more of this episode, honestly. I think this will be the hook episode, or the hooker. Whatever. We'll see. Muffler Dad, thank you for the 1999. It's the hooker episode. Well, that's kind of appropriate for HBO to be honest with this. Fucking boobs. Sorry, Shad. Boobs, not moobs in our shows. Yeah, I can't wait to see moob armor of Numenor. I cannot wait to see the moob. Did you see that armor, Chad? Oh, it's bad.
Spray painted paper mache crap. I'm doing it. I need to do a whole video just roasting that on Shadiversity because of how bad that armor is. It's like the budget, $1 billion or whatever. People, look at this. It's unforgivable.
Moob armor. In your debate yesterday, I heard Lofty's like, oh, well, maybe there's a character arc. She gets in a major battle with Queen Muriel in episode 7 near a volcano, so it can remind you of the end of fucking Return of the King, and it like full on melee battle. Like, what? So
that's what I was saying. I was saying everything set up in the 2 episodes so far is indicating that she is right. She is going to be the one who will be absolutely essential in defeating Sauron, and that like when she says, "What am I without my sword?" That was a setup to say she should never put down her sword, not an indication that she's going to turn into the Lady Galadriel from the Jackson Church.
I got my penis and I'm not giving it up. How you guys doing? You guys doing okay?
Checking in. I am alive.
You are alive? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to continue on then for a little while because it looks like everybody's having a good time. You having a good time, everybody? Sure you are. What's up, Cleveland? Calling out FNT. What is it? What did he say? Scared of Lofty? Have you seen him, Cleveland Brown?
Hey, that's cute.
That is cute. My youngest son could kick the shit out of Lofty. my wife could kick the shit out of Lofty.
Like I went on. I wasn't expecting anything when I got home from church on Sunday, and I just hopped on, and there's this debate, and it is some of these takes are so bad. I was like, and then someone messaged me saying that Yellow Flash was thinking of trying to reach out to me. I was like, oh, if I got a chance, and I messaged him, I went out of my way to hop in on that because I was like, yeah.
I'll admit to this thing. Yes. I am afraid of pissing all of you off by bringing him on. I know. I'm not interested in circular debates for 3 hours. Like, no, thanks.
There's certainly that. I think we made some progress, but yeah, there was a lot.
I'm gonna have with people who like know how to argue, like Jeremy or Az. Okay, it's not like we don't have those once in a while, like the binging and the Filoniing. Okay, but the reason we have those is because I was right. I'm clearly right about the binging. Binging is good. Like you can always binge when a show is finished airing. You can binge it whenever you want. But as like from a business aspect, it's much smarter to do what HBO is doing. You know what? You want to know why Rings of Power's numbers are going to fucking have next week? Because they're releasing the 2nd episode at midnight. At midnight. When nobody can fucking see it. So I don't understand. And somebody tried to justify it like their streaming servers can only like put something live when it turns the next day or so. Bullshit. I could set a timer on the release of my fucking video whenever the fuck I want. I can set a timer for 9:50 a.m. tomorrow for my next video. That's just hypothetical. I'm not gonna have a video tomorrow. Whenever I want. HBO releases a show tonight at 6. At 6, I'm still on Pacific time. 8 Central, 9 Eastern. That is prime time in America. Now everybody's going to watch HBO, watched it together. And now there's a bunch of us doing live streams after this show and talking about it.
Yeah. And if it's good, hyping it up.
Yes. Hyping it up. And people go Cobra Kai and Stranger Things. They should have released weekly. They'd be bigger. They would be bigger shows than they are now. They're still disposable. You drop everything at once, no matter how popular that show is, it's out of the ether in a month. You know, The Witcher didn't do itself any favors by sucking in and then forgotten in a week. It was completely forgotten. Now, I'm glad they binged all that because watching that shit weekly would have sucked. But, I mean, it's still a smarter move financially for the companies. And if you want to create a water cooler show, you can't release it at 3 a.m. and you can't release it all at once. You can binge later. Breaking Bad wouldn't have been what it was if it was released in the binge model. Still would have been a popular show. Still would have been good. Would have been nowhere near as big. Same with Sopranos. Same with Game of Thrones. Period. And they know that. That's why Disney did not do the binge model. We all wish they would, but they didn't. And Netflix is going to have to go back on it. They're eventually going to have to roll back on it. Why do you think they're releasing Rings of Power weekly? You don't think they did the research? And I like to binge too. I do. By the way, I'm just going to mention again randomly because I have ADD. Watch Primal. Watch Primal on Hulu. It's fucking awesome. Tartakovsky. It's fucking great. Cody Griffin for $5. Sorry I'm late. What's the general consensus? Still better than Rings of Power? Yes. Yes. Orders of magnitude better. And this was probably the first like solidly good beginning to end episode. Still have problems. Little convenient, some convenient arrows, but it ended with a good. We can talk about that battle, dude. So they set up the battle. The crab feeder's winning in the step zones for some reason. He's just, I guess, draining Corliss's. What I'm going to guess is what George would explain is Corliss is running out of money. He hired cell swords. Cell swords are only so good. He doesn't have a ton of people because he's on an island. So he probably has an army of 100 guys, a couple hundred guys. He's fighting with his brother. Damon is there, and he's being kind of a hard ass and kind of a dick because he feels spurned. So that even though they have two dragons, they're losing. So they're at their wits' end, and they're like, we need to send out some bait. That's the only way. So who's going to be the guy who's just basically going to kill himself to send out?
And they say you'd have to be insane or something like that for someone to do it because they'd just die. And so that's the setup. And Viserys finally gets talked. Like people are trying to talk him into it the entire episode. Like, hey, we're in a problem in the Stepstones, and you don't want your brother to die. You don't want to make it look like your brother. Although it'd probably be. See, this shows Viserys actually cares about his brother because, like, if he didn't, he'd be all fucking die out there. Please get on him there. They set up the conflict really well, though, to see like if his brother openly rebelled against him, and then if he goes to help his brother, that could be seen as a sign of his own weakness, that his conceding to his brother's rebellion, and his brother basically forced him into in line. And so they set that up, they show it, and so you can see the conflict. And
just on that point quickly, right? You have Corlys and Daemon sort of breaking off to be like, we're going to do it better without him. And then he comes in to help them. It's like, really takes the thunder out of our little,
It does. And I like that the one to convince him, because there's that discussion through the whole episode. So this is well built up and set up about the conflict of what's going on. And it's his wife who is the one who actually just gives him the right push.
Yeah.
Yep. And it works. And it also sets up something else. So it's a character study. It's not a battle scene. It is there for Daemon's character, Viserys' character, for Corlys, and for Alicent. And the battle is just almost trivial at this point. It was still a cool battle, but the stakes in it were Daemon's. Were completely Daemon's, who didn't say anything. So he ends up being bait. He runs to the top of this hill. He waves a white flag. He gives up Dark Sister. The crab feeder slowly comes out, always looking at the sky for the dragon, sends a few guys out, sends some archers out. They surround Daemon. Can
I just interrupt because I think it's just really important to acknowledge that setup. So Daemon has been fighting for a couple of years now to try and win this, and is clearly frustrated when he gets off the dragon. He's just like things aren't going well. And then, he gets the letter of his brother saying, I'm going to come to help you. in case basically fail. MauLer pointed it and contextualized that really well. And his reaction is he just bashes the crap out of the messenger. Or I don't know if he kills him or not, but it's like, it's such a good setup. As that's the tipping point in which now he's willing to risk everything. Whereas before he might have, thought this is too risky. Yeah. It is suicide. I won't do it. But now to not look weak against his brother, he will risk it all because he has to win now. It's a time thing. If he doesn't act now, the king will come and steal his glory.
I was even saying to Gary when we were watching it, I appreciated them trying to pull him off the messenger because that is just such a dick move to attack a messenger. It's just like, come on. They don't just like out of crazy fear, just like, oh, if he kills a messenger, that's up to him. You know, so like, no, call us his men. Like, what are you doing? This is like the guy is like telling us stuff. I also noted as well. I'd have to look back at it, but it looked like the little message that it had come apart already before he, like the messenger had given it a read on his way. Just like, curious.
Gotta read something.
And it says something about his character right there that like you see some elements of like goodness in him where he does care, but then he also has this massive pride, and there's points where he will snap and lash out even at innocent people. And so it says something pretty stark about this guy is he's not kidding. And then the fact that he is willing to risk it all for his glory, it's like, all right, he's a mad lad. He'll do it.
Chad is a fucking Chad, without a doubt.
I saw someone mentioning this, and it's true. Just before Damon arrives, they're discussing potential options, and they talk about bait. They talk about how do we draw out the crab people, and it's just like, yeah, there you go. That's all the setup you need for knowing what the plan actually is. Because with all we've seen so far, Damon ain't surrendering. That ain't happening. No way.
No. And I've tried to put it up in the chat, but somebody said, how honorable is a fake surrender anyway? Not really. It's kind of a lot, but like that was part of it's setting something up later too. Like Damon, when pushed, can be brutal, like ungodly brutal. Lannister, brutal.
This is now well set up because that's exactly what bashing the messenger explains about him. That when pushed to the line, honor, screw honor, he'll do it, and that makes him a really engaging character. Where there'll be times I'm expecting now that I'm going to be wondering, oh, is he on that line? He could snap, and it makes it unpredictable, makes it engaging, but it's a justified type of unpredictability because this is the type of character that they've constructed very well for this. So that like it isn't just saying something about his relationship with his brother. It isn't saying something about the nature of the battle. It says something about him, what he's willing to do. It does so many things, these interactions.
And just so you know, like after the time jump, there's going to be more Targaryens. The most Targaryens I think the realm has ever seen, and the most dragons. So that's so there's going to be the most Targaryens and the most dragons, and there's going to be some bad ones. And there'll be some boobs because it's HBO. So I love Damon's dragons Caraxes. Unique designs. The dragons look good. They do.
I mean,
there's a couple. He's got quite the neck on him.
Yeah, he does. When Rhaenyra was Deus Ex Rhaenyra last episode, you could tell she was like in front of volume or green screen or something like that, but that was the only thing that was like super obvious.
There was one moment here where it wasn't Daemon, it was the other guy on the dragon. It was a quick small little shot before he flamed some archers, but it did look pretty bad. I was like, oh, there's a screen. But it was only a brief moment. It didn't last.
Hey guys, thankfully, this has been much better than Lord of the Rings of Prime. Well, paying taxes is, quite frank, no, it's still not taxation. It's that. I went on a rant for 5 hours with my mother about Rings of Power, and literally she said they're ruining a lot of franchises nowadays. Oh, Mom, it's based. That's awesome. The Clever Fox for $20. Hail, Mom. And that's why you should start a channel so you don't have to yell at your mom for 5 hours. I'm just kidding. My wife is grateful. Trust me, she is grateful. But thank you very much. I appreciate it. You guys are awfully kind. We got 4,900 people watching. Thank you. On a Sunday.
I see Short Fat Otaku in the chat. How are you, man?
What's up?
Hey, Dev. How you doing?
How's it going?
I've been seeing loads of people keep telling me like Sitch thought Rings of Power was good. Actually, I was like, oh no. That's okay. It's okay. Look, Sitch has a lot of crazy takes when it comes to media. Everyone knows this, okay? And that's fine.
It's fine.
He's a politics guy, okay? That's where his talents lie.
Mm-hmm.
Tell him I said that as a compliment.
Yeah, I'll start breaking down politics. No, I won't. Well, lick my sister and call me Targaryen. So glad to be listening to you fine folks on Sunday. By the way, Ryan Reynolds ruined Hal Jordan. Peace. Says Green Lantern 328499. Thank you very much for $4.99. Did I say $4.99? Because I just ran with the numbers there. Man, I am dumb. I truly hate what they do off-screen kills of significant people on the show. Did they do an off-screen? They did an off-screen kill of
with the crab guy at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen the death blow. I felt it was like that would have been cool.
There is
work. I generally don't either.
There's value to both, right? They cannot coexist as decisions for the story. They did it the way they did it to make us give us a strong impression of Damon just fucked him up, and it was like you don't get that same thing if you show the fight. However, you get a different thing, and would it have been better? I would have preferred it. I can't say that I hate the decision as it stands, but I see a lot of people are upset. They wanted to see the two fight.
You'll get to see Damon fight. That scene was to establish him. He looked weak at the beginning, and this is all we've been asking for is treat characters like real characters. Treat them like humans. They're not these Mary Sues. They're not like Damon fucked up a lot, but then when push came to shove, he took out the boss pretty easily.
I think that's what they were going for. It was like, oh, they're gonna fight. He's fucking dead. He's annihilated him.
I don't know what happens in the story, but this is the type of win that would be spread across the realm as like, did you hear what Daemon Targaryen did? Like that should skyrocket him in prominence and stuff. And if in terms of threat for the king, like if they're after like who would be the strongest Targaryen to lead people into battle, there's no question about that now, you know.
Is the assumption that the sort of stepping stones issue is over then? That with the crab feeder dead, that they'll disband?
No, you saw the scenes, didn't you?
I was curious if they were going to move away from it because there's so much to do, you know. Like
it's the pirates are always a little bit of a problem, and they become one later. But yeah, if you saw the scenes, you know Damon comes back with some headgear. We'll just say that. Paul Anderson, I read that one. Might House of the Dragon. No, I read that one. I think the early episodes did a good job of setting up Viserys as a weak, vacillating ruler. I really appreciate that they set up his difficulties objectively a cap for $5. They did. I don't know how weak. I think people perceive him as weak, and they don't understand. Like nobody understands what it's like to be the king.
Yeah, having trouble choosing between two things is seen as weakness when it's more so if you get to know him, it's because he's seriously struggling to understand exactly which will be best for the realm, and it's a really tough decision. He has so many tough decisions, but he does commit. He often does commit. You know, and it should be pointed out, I guess.
I actually see him as a strong character who's just struggling with a really difficult job. I love him. I think he's great.
He comes off as he didn't want the job, but it's his duty and he does it. But he's really one of those kings that's into the histories too. Like he's aware of the legacy and all that. So.
And you can see why people would perceive him as weak because he's not decisive. And sometimes people perceive like if straight action is strength and everything, but because he did take a long time to decide what to do about the whole, pirates and all that stuff. But you can see why it establishes him, and it works.
Jackson Sutton for $20. Thanks, y'all, for covering the disrespect of Tolkien's works and the surprisingly good show House of the Dragon is. My friends and I would watch the Jackson trilogy while I was in the military. Huge moral boost for us. Oh, that's awesome. And thanks for doing that. I think, yeah, the Jackson trilogy is a lot of people's happy place. It is. You know, how many people watch it like during Christmas just because it came out during Christmas? I do. I watch them regularly, like 3-4 times a year. That was one of the gifts, I guess. Maybe it's drugs. I don't know why, but when editing, I have a high. I can watch stuff over and over again, like, and I get the same enjoyment out of it. Autism, whatever the fuck it is.
I'm like that with a lot of stuff. I could rewatch a lot of things forever. Like Lord of the Rings.
Yep. Too bad Game of Thrones only got 5 seasons. It seems like such a cool world. Also, hi Rags. Good one. Oh, I gotta give Rags a video. God dang it, I forgot. Rags, I'm sorry. I gotta give Rags a video.
You might not have run out of time. Don't worry.
I might not have. Okay, good.
Might not,
because you bought me some time this weekend. That's good.
Possibly, yeah. We were not supposed to do an EFAP, but we did.
If you're out there, I'm sorry, Rags. Rags is a good dog. Okay, one of the best. Hail Fellowship. Honestly, I'm digging it so far. By a long shot. It's nice to be excited to press play. It's also fantastic water cooler talk, something like with a community or a fellowship. Live long and prosper, says Big Worm for $10. I agree. MauLer and I were chatting about that, and so was Brad. We were like, it's nice.
Bit of a pause here and there to have a little thought here and there, you know.
And like, it's the type of show that encourages discussion because you want to find out what was the character thinking with it because of the subtext. You can do, and then you get to figure out this is very likely what the character was thinking or what the motivations led to that, or just discussing why characters made certain choices when there's so many, oftentimes valid indications that can lead you to understanding that, you know, an understanding of what informed the character's choice. It's good stuff.
No, and they leave it up for some interpretation. That's that's a tough balance to hit. But, you know, like I asked you about, like, what do you think was in Viserys' mind when he was, because I honestly didn't. Could have been like 3 or 4 things that was going, like, he hung over, tortured, and sick. I think is the right way to go. I think he's sick. I think he's very sick. Like the you know, he's saying the alcohol was particularly strong. It's affecting him because he's got a giant infection in his body, obviously.
It's a good little scene for like showing what the situation is. Like, this is a grand moment to show your strength, and he's just like awkwardly sort of just like, is it done? It's like, no, sir, it's not done. You got to do that. And it's like, oh, okay. And then you can hear the awkward starting of clapping in the back. It's like you did it, yeah.
Brutal. That is. I mean, like, people hunt all the time, and it's fine. I got nothing against hunting, but. You know, you're like, you were going, that doesn't seem fair when they're like, it wasn't. It's a king.
No, it's like, yeah, it's traditional ceremonial, all that stuff. It's just like, you could imagine, because that was what Robert was doing, right? He was like, I want to fucking kill it myself. I want to go get it. That's what gets him killed.
Yep. Yeah. Hail to Shad. Always wanted to ask what those books with the colorful spines are behind your head, right next to your book.
These ones?
Was Moria for 5%.
Most of these are leather-bound Brandon Sanderson, though this is Wheel of Time, Robert Jordan. And so we got Eye of the World, Elantris, the Mistborn Trilogy, Warbreaker, Two Way of Kings, and there's my novel here, if you see that.
Yep.
Leather-bound Princess Bride. And then, of course, Name of the Wind. This is by Patrick Rothfuss. Wise Man's Fear. Slow Regard of Silent Things. I'm about a frame now, I think. But down there is the entire Wheel of Time trilogy. Great books.
Excuse me, where is the Lord of the Rings trilogy?
Oh, sir, do you think me crass? So leather-bound, Silmarillion, leather-bound Hobbit, leather-bound trilogy. Right?
Yeah, baby. That's sexy. Woo!
And these are almost vintage. These are like old ones that we found online.
Yeah. I got some of them too.
Nice.
Hey, that's a sexy bookshelf there. I'm gonna try Wheel of Time again. All that talk about it, I'm like, I'll dive in again.
It's really good. Oh, it's really good.
I was on my way back from Vegas. I found in a truck stop, a random weird truck stop, I found the 9 Princes of Amber. Started listening to that again. So good. So good. Here we go. Hackamus. The Crab King had the stone disease. Wouldn't Damon have it now if he's covered with the guy's blood? Yeah.
I worry about that. I think
well, okay. Question, because like, if it goes into remission, is it still transmittable?
It is, but Targaryens generally don't get sick.
Well, I was going to say, I don't think it's in remission though from the crab feeder.
Really? Because we saw him like years earlier. And
Stone Skin can take a bit, right, to take you down.
It takes a long time before it takes you down. Yeah, it can depend, but it doesn't stop. It can be stopped in children, but it can't be stopped in adults.
Unless you're Samuel Tarly for some reason.
Unless you can peel this fucking skin off. Yeah. I know, like, they've hinted strongly because of the bloody flux that's going on at the end of A Dance with Dragons that came out 4,072 days ago, that Dany isn't getting sick from it because she can't get sick from it. She can't get Targaryens don't get sick. But I can't remember if they get grayscale or not. Don't think so, but could be wrong.
Question the whole Targaryen. I mean, our main character arguably is getting very sick.
Well, he's getting infected. Like, they can die like from wounds and stuff, but they can't get like the flu. You know what I mean? Okay. So, yeah. Which the bloody flux might be, or the bloody flux might be just dysentery, which I think a Targaryen could get dysentery. So.
Well, it looks like the king's also getting poisoned. So
help me, chat.
Someone in chat asked if I'm nocturnal or if I'm pre-recorded, and I love the idea that you two are live, but I'm pre-recorded. Some impressive predictions I've got here so far.
Yeah, I can't remember if the Targaryens can get grayscale or not. Probably grayscale bad.
Like I said, if his blood splat all over him, that's not good.
That's all the thing about Tyrion is he part Targaryen? And Tyrion in the rat, when he falls off the raft, he's in I'm forgetting the name. He's going down the Rhine River. Right. And he goes by the Palace of Love, which is not called the Palace of Love. It's Wall of the Stone Man. It's basically a leper colony now.
Yeah, yeah.
And he gets attacked by Stone Man. You saw a version of it in the show, but it's bullshit. And Tyrion falls into the water and gets attacked by a Stone Man and has to prick his fingers all the time, but he doesn't get it. But Griff does. Now, Griff, Jorah Mormont took Griff's part by getting the grayscale.
Yeah.
And then they just peeled it off like it was fucking nothing.
That was so terrible.
Terrible. Disco Dave 1337 for $10. Liking the show so far, but there's one nitpick. I have a couple too. I have the show and even Game of Thrones when it comes to I have with this show and even Game of Thrones when it comes to sword fighting. Sometimes it's great and sometimes it's way too choppy and killing blows look unconvincing. Shad.
I need to slow down and watch it again. It was going so fast. I've only seen it once through to really comment on the swordplay. I found it mostly enjoyable. I was more invested in like the emotion of what was happening, what was being said about his character, and just him going nuts and everything.
Yeah, I remember feeling it was a little choppy, which I really want to see less of in modern combat.
One thing I didn't like is I liked where he says knock, but then they commanded them to draw and hold it at full draw for like way too long. Oh, come on, stop doing that.
Hey, at least they didn't say fire.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, one of my favorite movies of all time has the worst swordplay ever. Highlander. Highlander has terrible swordplay in it. And I still love it. The Highlander. And then what else was there was another one. There's another one with shitty swordplay that like won Best Picture. Not the Gladiator. Why am I blanking on the Freedom Mel Gibson movie? Why am I
Braveheart.
Braveheart. Yeah, Braveheart has good swordplay in the front, but if you look in the back, a friend of mine pointed this out to me a long time ago. I can never unsee it. It's all the extras. I think they don't know if the camera, because they were so far away, maybe they didn't hear action and cut. They're going, are we fighting? Okay. Yeah. There's like stuff going on in the background. It's pretty funny. Still a good movie though. Kenneth LaRocca says you still need to try Malazan Book of the Fallen by Steve Erickson. I will. There's lots of books I need to try still. Damn, Shad. All the Brandon Sanderson you got going on the top, and a lot of some of their most favorite titles there. My new best friend.
Hey,
Good.
he's a good author. There's a lot of good authors out there. Enjoy him.
What a nerd.
What a the unmet market demand for male role models has gotten me 200,000 views on a Garak DS9 clip video, and 500 plus views so far on a 6-day-old Worf clip video. That's crazy, but good. Is it here? Is it a short? That's good.
It's like a compilation of the characters.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you all. Sorry to brag a little bit. My Rings of Power video is like the best performing video I've ever had. It's ridiculous. So thank you. Thank you all.
Hey man, good news, good stuff.
It's good stuff. Yeah.
Get the push back out there. I'm seeing way too much praise for Rings of Power. It's insane.
Yep. Oh, we're coming. We're coming. We got 6 more episodes, baby. The Clever Fox and how many? Like the thing is, there's a lot of new people here, MauLer, and we're like, we've been here before. Obi-Wan, She-Hulk, WandaVision, Loki, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, like every Marvel TV show.
Wheel of Time.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been here before. It's great. And then all of a sudden, by the end of the season, that's what it is.
Yeah, and they'll be like, oh my god, it got so bad. It's like, it didn't get so bad.
The Clever Fox for $5. My mom is a little 4'11" person. I probably shouldn't torment her with hate about Lord of the Rings. I almost threw a hammer at my TV because the show is so awful. Hey, as somebody who broke a monitor, you don't want to do it. These things cost money. Okay.
I remember that.
I love that you got that on live.
Not my proudest moment. Big old Andrew Garfield head.
Yeah.
Great conversation, says Team Merit for $5. Hey, thanks. Hey, yeah, MauLer, is it re-released in your? How about you? No Way Home, is it re-released in your countries? The extended version?
As far as I know, it is, and I saw people talking about how like it's not worthwhile. Like the scenes they've added in are just not worth going to the cinema for alone. I don't know what they are, but I you know, all I do know is one person talked about how there's a scene with Betty Brant doing some last time in school video, and then it shows her looking at some of her pictures, and there's like a clear, obvious like Peter's been taken out of all of them, as if to illustrate what the spell does. That it removes him, and I was just like, that just don't
No,
don't talk. It doesn't make sense. It can't make sense. Don't
do the Marty McFly with them. No,
it's they want us to think that he's been removed from all software and hardware and everything ever. Like I just, it's like
that spell is insane.
And you know what? That's still a better idea than one more fucking day in the comic books.
It can always get worse, everyone.
It can always be worse. Hey, it's just an excuse to take my youngest to the movie, so we're gonna go.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's still got all the stuff you liked in it, you know.
My youngest is 2 years away from official adulthood.
Boo, adulthood.
Boo. Master Witcher Sir for $5. Watched Angry Joe's review of The Rings of Power. He likes it and says it's good. Writing is good.
Look,
he's gonna get it again.
Was well written, all right?
Oh, no.
Gosh, I'm sorry. Like you say, this is well written. You don't know the.
They don't even let you think. There's for the very little that is actually there, they make sure you understand it again and again and again. Like, what do you learn about these characters? Why is everyone endeared to these characters? Why? What about them is so interesting in any way? I don't understand.
I don't either. That's what I need to hear. Like, I just like her. Okay.
2 hours.
There's 2 hours. There's no characterization. There's none. There is telling me, but there's not showing me anything. I think he likes it because of the agenda stuff. Well, I'll go watch it now that I'm done with my review. I liked watching him rip apart Picard. I mean, he likes Star Trek Discovery though, so like this is not surprising.
Here's the thing, Gary. I really believe, and this reflects Red Letter Media as well. It's where your passions lie, and your passions lead you to start reviewing this stuff, right? We're all here. It's like we do our videos. Like, I fucking care about this thing they're ruining. And then your friends are like, oh, hey, can you cover this new thing, Flim Flam, that's come out? And you're like, oh, I don't really care about Flim Flam. Like, yeah, you cover Flim Flam. And you go, oh, okay. And you watch, you go, yeah, Flim Flam seems fine. Then everyone's like, what the fuck? It ruined Flim Flam's source. And you're like, oh, well, I don't know. Whatever. And then you're like, you didn't care, you didn't think this, that, the other. Did you pay attention to this? You notice this? And they're like, whatever. I was just casually watching. And it's just like, just stick to the stuff you really care about then. Like this, it's the key, I swear to God, to making the bet. We talk about this in terms of advice for like startups on YouTube. It's like, seriously, along with all the other things you guys recommend, along with whatever has been said by everyone else, stick to what you really care about.
Yes.
Because when you don't give a shit, like when Angry Joe said, like, She-Hulk's more powerful than Hulk, or so, whatever, I don't care, they're fictional characters. It's like, you do care when it's about stuff you care about. Superman and Supergirl, Superman versus Batman, you would care.
I don't know, like if you know what like good writing is and stuff like that, you can review something you don't care about and still give a good, honest opinion and take on it.
I just think that like, when you're watching something without caring about it, you'll miss loads of details and just be like, whatever. For example, right, I'd love to ask Angry Joe, it's like, do you like Durin, for example? And I could see people being like, yeah, he seems fun. He seems like a fun guy. Who's like, you know, and I was like, do you like the fact that the main characterization we get from him is that he feels betrayed, that his kids and wife and himself were ignored by what he considered a best friend, a loyal friend for 2 decades, which is a long time. Yeah? And they're like, yeah. Do you like how he forgives Elrond in like 5 seconds and doesn't care anymore?
And what about the rest of the dwarves who expect him to be banished from dwarven lands?
Yeah, and that doesn't matter. And I'd just be like, is that what? Because like we were talking about this at EFA, we're trying to figure this out, right? How does it get written this way? And it's like, it's a fucking delay, just like the ship. We were gonna have it so that Elrond turns up and just goes, hey, proposition, and then the king is like, all right, I'll consider it, you know. But that's boring. How do we delay this? Like, maybe make it so that he hates Elrond because he ditched him for a while, and then they have the whole stupid rock contest that has no consequence at all, and then he forgives him, and then we have the proposal anyway. What was the point of all of that? And I legit wonder when watching it, does the writer want me to remember that they have that awkward history now, or do they want me to think it's solved? 2 decades. Solved. I swear to God, if one of you guys like forgot me for 2 decades and they were like, hey, we're best friends, right? I'd be like, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? Fuck you. Like, 2 decades. It really frustrates me because I love my characters.
5 years of this. 5 years.
So when people are like, "Oh, I fucking love the characters," in
5
this,
seasons.
like, what ones are there?
10 years. Yeah, 2 decades is a long time. It's it doesn't make any sense. I'm not saying this is what happened. His name is Angry Joe. He does video game reviews. Go check him out. I'm not saying this is the case. I have seen with some reviewers, again, just some, that they'll start liking stuff based on like just the general hate it's getting. They're just going to take opposite opinion. It's an explanation. It's not one I would respect, but it's an explanation. I think there's some of that going on.
Do you ever get frustrated? I'll be as quick as possible. Sorry, I'm just angry. Like, do you ever get pissed off when people like see you review the thing and you're annoyed and they're like, once again, you're just hating on it. It's like, I just did hours of explaining all my arguments. Stop telling me I hate it for no reason at all. Like, it's just not that at all.
But I gave you my reasons.
Like when people praise the writing, like there are so many examples of awfully constructed like narrative dialogue, also contradictory motivations and executions and nonsensical crap. And like just one example of just a perfectly crap line is like, and so we hunted to the ends of the earth, we hunted Sauron. It's like, that is such an amateurish, like awful line where it repeats 2 concepts and it's not to add emphasis because it's just utter garbage. When compare that to a simple reconstruction, and so we hunted him to the very ends of the earth. And like compare that to the previous one. One is like it easily flows, it connects the concept, where the other is just such a crap construction. Yeah, the writing's great. Come on.
And this is Galadriel in the books who thought Morgoth couldn't be beat. Could not be beat. So now she's going to hunt the ends of the earth because they said she was athletic once in the books. And she looked at somebody with the eye of the commander, but they ignored all the actual lore of her just kind of walking around.
What is she without her sword, Gary?
Yeah.
But what about the darkness in me?
Oh, God. Go away.
And when Elrond says, "Oh,
dude, someone in chat said, why are you talking about the topic at hand?" It's like, it's 2.5 hours we're in, all right?
all right, welcome to Nerdrotic."
Yeah, I was gonna say we can talk about House of the Dragon and Rings of Power.
We're going
right?
to talk about them.
perfectly
We're
capable.
contrasting. We're contrasting. One good, one decent. At the very least, you got to be fair. It's decent compared to like dog shit, like utter flaming on fire, floating down sewage into a dumpster fire that's going to get smelted. Dog shit.
Listen, chat, you have not seen what we have seen.
You have not seen. Brendan Myers for $10.01. Shad, what do you think of major Kaladin moments at the end of TWOK, which is a Wheel of Time book, probably?
No. This is Stormlight Archives, The Way of Kings.
There you go.
And the other one is The Rhythm of War.
For me, my friends, it still brings tears to our eyes when we talk about it. Keep up the good work.
Okay, so I'm not kidding when I say The Way of Kings has one of the most powerful payoff, like ending hero moments out of any book I've ever read. Now, it's interesting because I didn't get into the Shalon arc, but the Kaladin arc, I was like, and the payoff. Like I said, I think the best I've ever experienced, the emotional satisfaction of that, probably the best I've ever experienced in any work of fiction. And I'm not kidding. I don't think it's like I said, I didn't get into the Shalon arc, which is almost half the novel, but just for that, in like transcendent act of storytelling, I'll always forever have a special place in my heart for The Way of Kings. It is truly glorious. Second book was great. I don't think it was as powerful as that first, because the setup and the conflict and that moment of decision, and it's something that the character's been working for the whole damn book. And there's this moment of decision and just this sheer noble heroism, just like so good. Anyway, and the second book was still great, not as good as the first one, but still brilliant.
Damn.
Like seriously, guys, if you want some, if you guys want some great reading, Stormlight Archives is this is like as epic fantasy gets. It's chunky. You need to be in it for the long story. Usually Mistborn is the entry point for a lot of people for Brandon Sanderson, and Mistborn is brilliant. Yeah. And so if you want some like genuinely top tier writing, check out Brandon Sanderson. Excellent. By the way, I was the weapons I was the weapons and the story consultant for Stormlight Archives 4.
Holy shit!
Yeah. So you'll see me in the credits in the opening of it.
Well, now I gotta support it. That's it.
Well, what's great, like Brandon, he's awesome. Like he listens, like he actually does reach out to people to try and experts and stuff to get their input and everything. And he rewrote an entire scene based on my recommendation, where I said there's a character who's fighting multiple opponents, and I was like, if you really want to pick one of the better weapons for this situation, like I'm talking about a proper sized greatsword, a Zweihander level greatsword, which is made for crowd control, spinning around and stuff like that. And he was like, I like it. Rewrote the entire scene to have the greatsword in it.
Oh, nice. So, well done.
Yeah.
Kamal Adnan the First for 20,000. What's an IDR? Indian? Are we gonna say Indian pesos, like from India? Maybe. Even Jeremy John. Thank you very much, by the way. I call everything, if I don't recognize it, it's a Martian peso. Even Jeremy Johns was disappointed by Rings of Power. Yeah, I like Jeremy Johns.
I've always felt he's more honest at the risk of his own sort of channel sometimes. He knows how it works, but he wants to be honest.
Yep. I like Jeremy Johns. I think he's a good Karen McDonald for £5 proper money. I love the screen in the scene in Mount Doom where having the high ground, not Sauron proclaims, as it turns out, Galadriel, I am the Lord of the Rings.
Oh, that was such a good moment.
Such a pure Tolkien. But dude, if they say that in the show,
I am the rings of power. Or something.
I wouldn't put it past it at this
Legit,
point.
like,
Like, just...
this is the one pattern I've really noticed with all these shows that come out. Like a lot of people, even people who are like fans of EFAP and stuff, were just like, it's gonna get better. I think we're in a slower, and it's just like it always gets worse. The episodes are like they'll like, and everyone's perception of it always gets worse. We go on the earlier episodes. The reason why they usually float a little bit higher is because there's less to contradict. There's less to fuck up when you've got your own like little. You're setting your own foundations. When they show us the first scene of the girl running through the little forest, you're like, well, this is all fine right now, but it's the second you start adding more, every single thing you add, the more chances there are to destroy everything you've already set up yourself. On top of everything they're destroying, outside of it. So I was just thinking to myself, like, it's like, oh yeah, maybe they'll fix what we've got as problems so far. But I'm already thinking about Galadriel, whoever she bumped into on that raft, it's going to be hyper convenient. And then wherever she gets an opportunity as a result, I'm just going to be thinking about, wow, imagine she did die all of the 10 times she could have throughout the previous episodes. Instead, we're now here. And, like that's going to be applicable for everyone else. The elf dude who's going to escape captivity from the scary orcs or whatever, that only all happened because he was a moron and decided to go alone down into spooky tunnels for a whole army that destroyed a whole village. I don't know why he did that, but, like, he'll be lucky. He'll get away out.
They're setting up, like, his comic relief partner, who, quite frankly, was more interesting than he was, but like, wasn't a terrible character. Like, where the fuck was he? He'll probably just disappear.
I guess he's gone. Yeah.
Alba Doom for $2 says, hot take: Jordan's Conan books are better than Wheel of Time.
I actually haven't read his. I know he has written some Conan things, and I think I have it on audio, but I haven't gotten around to listening to it.
Conan books are awesome, dude.
Robert Jordan is a great writer, and so look, I wouldn't put it past it that he's written something else that's awesome. So. Unfortunately, he's passed away now. Rest in peace. It was Brandon Sanderson that finished off the Wheel of Time.
And did an admirable job, according to all the Wheel of Time fans. So, Brendan M for I read that one. Daniel Todd for $5. Hey guys, my friend wanted to watch Rings of Power Thursday, but we did not. Now it was on Thursday, but we did not. Now it was on at 9 p.m. We did not know it was on at 9 p.m. So we played board games instead. Thank God. Yeah, that was a better choice. And you didn't know it was on 9. You want to know why you didn't know it was on 9? Because fucking Amazon put the Rings of Power thing everywhere. They didn't put a time anywhere. On, like, if you went on Amazon, I went on Amazon a couple of times. I'm still working on this effing office, so I had to order a couple things to hang up. And yeah, the Rings of Power shit was everywhere, but there was no time. And the date was for the 2nd. They still didn't update the date that they clearly moved because they didn't want to premiere it on the anniversary of the great professor's death. You pieces of shit for even thinking about that. And my belief is they didn't know. They just chose.
They probably didn't know. Yeah.
That's my belief. And everybody knows, Bilbo and Frodo's birthdays coming up on Thursday, the 22nd. Thursday's a better day to release your TV show. Sunday and Thursday are the two best primetime days. You release them at 6, more people would watch. I can't wait to be proven right on this one, though. Those numbers, they won't fucking bring them up. They'll just go, we had record numbers again for our second episode that we're not going to mention. Because there is a point where they have to tell the truth because they are I'm pretty sure they're Amazon stock, right? So they have to, their answer to stockholders. And if you answer to stockholders, you can't lie. You can't lie to your investors either, but you can't. Doesn't mean they don't, but tricky $20. By the way, that whole lid is going to get blown off. I was kind of hoping Elon Musk would buy Twitter just to prove that, like, there's tons of bots on it, and then it'll fucking crack open. It'll make people go, I wonder if it's that way with all the other social media things, because it is. Tricky for $20. One of my favorite book series from my teenage years was Sword of Truth by Terry Goodkind. Bad TV adaptation attempt, but the series was really good. Found out that a friend's father had done the artwork for the book. That's cool. See, look at fantasy's a cool genre. Sci-fi, fantasy, great genres. Some of my favorite. I got into it because of comic books. Because I was reading comic book. Well, I was looking at the pictures of Conan books when I was a little kid. I wasn't like reading them yet. And my sister would have Heavy Metal Hurlant magazine. So like that, that was around, and that's just what I was surrounded by. So I love that 70s fantasy. And then, when I saw The Hobbit on TV, I was like, what the fuck is this? This is crazy. I'll tell the story before. I remember feeling, I hated Bilbo. I thought because he stole Golem's ring. So I'm this kid and I'm seeing this like weird creature cry. So I'm feeling sorry for the ugly, weird creature that got his ring stolen. I'm like, that guy's an asshole. I didn't say asshole because I was like 4, but you know what I mean. Yinjing. I said that wrong, and I probably sounded a little racist. For $4.99. The first 4 Doom books were also interesting. Game of Thrones was inspired by them. Please consider checking them out. Dennis will adopt the first 2. Adapt. Oh, Denis Villeneuve will adapt the first 2. Game of Thrones was based on a lot of things. Dune, a little bit probably, but Game of Thrones was taken from Elric, from Dune, from Lord of the Rings, all that stuff.
British history as well, like War of the Roses and stuff.
Tons of it. But Daemon Targaryen is Elric. He looks like Elric, and so is Brynden Rivers in Duncan Egg. Bloodraven, the guy who comes in. He's got werewood arrows. Shad, yeah, he comes in at the end of the books. He's always kind of around in the Duncan Egg books. I've
only read the graphic novel, and I love the graphic novel. I think I need to read the books.
They're short. They're good. You can get the Mystery Night, and it's got 3 short stories in them. They're really good. Sir Duncan the Tall.
Dunk the Lunk, thick as a castle wall. One of the odd things that I really like about it is like, I don't know where it ends, but he is such a good character, Dunk. Like a good-hearted. He's one of the few people who takes knighthood seriously. The notion of chivalry, like so much so. When I read the graphic novel, I had no idea it was Game of Thrones because it just didn't have the same type of Game of Thrones nihilism. I really got into the chivalry knighthood aspects of it.
It's the head. Yeah, it's it's Lone Wolf and Cub with the Targaryen, basically, with the little Targaryen. Chad, in your next Conquer book, can he stop crying? Wow, that's Kelly Johnson for $2.
Maybe we'll see. I like it. He's dealing with a lot. Is
he?
Yeah, the main character. So they're talking about Dalen, the character in my novel.
Yeah.
Some might say it was justified, but read and find out and let you decide.
What a crybaby.
$4.99. Second werewood scene. Are they telling us something? By the way, the painting on the Queen's wall is. I
noticed that. there's like a tapestry behind the Queen, and it's like that's an interesting thing to hang on the wall.
I didn't even look at. Was it like a sex scene thing?
It's like a medieval Kama Sutra thing. It's just like
I actually, because I was watching a channel break it down. Apparently, on one of the tapestries, there's a dragon and a person having sex, which illustrates a potential history for the core of the Targaryen bloodline. You never know. They did. I found out from the same video that they do a lot of weird shit. They experimented with like creatures and men and bloodlines and stuff in Valyria.
So another huge inspiration on A Song of Ice and Fire is H.P. Lovecraft. So there's an Empire of the Dawn that came out that was around before Valyria, and they're the ones who actually tamed the dragons. So they probably taught the Valyrians how to do it, and then they kind of closed them. They're still around. But there's a ton of history to Westeros, to Planetos that, George just kind of put in. He put like all the stuff I like I'm going to put in the rest of the world, like Ashai by the Shadow, which is an entire city, made out of that fused block. You're going to hear about the fused block. So there's the fused stone that Targaryens and possibly the Empire of the Dawn can make with Dragonfire. And then there's the weird, small, like plasticky. Like there's a throne in the Iron Islands. The sea stone chair is actually cut out of one piece, but it's like this really smooth plastic, oily kind of stone. So there's a lot of theories that this is a post-apocalyptic science fiction world. And the magic is just repurposed kind of science. It's one of the many theories. People will go way down the rabbit hole with that stuff. I promise you, George didn't think about it that much. I promise you. George did a good job with his books, but he does not think about them as much as Tolkien does because he doesn't finish them. He's too busy playing with his life-size Robbie the robot, which I would fucking love. Everybody would love one, and his movie theater, and his choo-choo train, and Meow Wolf. Hi guys, my friend wanted to. I read that one. Brandon M. I read that one too. Okay, so like, am I just running out of them here? Come on, I know that's not the case. Thunderstorm. I read that one too. Stitch just said before he ended the stream that you guys are being too harsh on the Rings of Powers and that it's not that bad. You guys need to get him on.
It is that bad. It is most definitely that bad.
Like if people want to have like a debate about it, like, yeah, I'll do it. But like, be ready. Be ready.
You guys being too harsh. Like, sure, yeah, okay.
I get
tore it to pieces, individual detail, quoting it. Like, I don't. Sure.
Go watch the pingeoning. Go watch the pingeoning. Go watch the floating. That was not even a debate I was in, and I started fucking flame throwing in that one. So.
One of the reasons why I was more than happy to dive into that debate with Lofty is because I've just watched it. I've just broken it down. I have all the references on hand. Like it's you want to say this is good. All right. What about this?
Yeah. And so much stuff was fresh in my mind. That's why I was like piping in while you guys, I was in the chat, and like every time the video would render, I'd go back into the live stream. You know, I apologize to Yellow. I was like, he sent me a link. I'm like, dude, I'm making a video. I can't come in. And I usually try. I don't want to like take over his chat because it's his show. But Lofty said some things. I was just like, especially with fandom. And it's just like, dude, like he's young. You got to keep that in mind. Right. It's like
fandom. We get it on EFAP all the time. Eventually you get them to say logic doesn't matter as much as the themes or the storytelling, as if they're not married. It's like, how do you
all part of this thing called characterization, because your characters are the most important. You can world build the fuck out of anything. If you don't have interesting characters, I don't give a shit.
And that's the thing. I don't think we should concede that they've got really good world building. I don't think they do.
They don't. No, they don't. They have sweeping shots, and then they're in enclosed scenes on set.
The timeline is incredibly unclear. The distance between places is incredibly unclear. The descriptions of how everything has existed and coexisted has just been pretty thin. Like, I don't see what are we rewarding for world building? It's like, oh well, the nice shots. Look,
House of the Dragon. Did you need an establishing shot to know you're in the Kingswood?
No.
Yeah. And they like in Rings of Power, they also set up things that just don't make sense. Like, you're telling me elves have had a military occupation for what, thousands of years in the Southlands? Like, it's just justify things if you're going to add world building elements like that. It's just
and set it up like this is the first time, like outside of battle, we're seeing anybody from the Southlands. Like, you need to establish that shit. You can't go, well, it's a town of a bunch of English rednecks and the one brown girl's the smart one. Okay. What?
He's also the only clean one.
and is it, Hadad, or like, what is it? She's obviously Hadad, but like, what about the other guys? Like, what's going on there? Where they just, I didn't know because it was all fucking made up. Because it was all made up. And, like people were asking questions like, Don Lemonless is, was that tree beard on it? And he didn't know. He's all, it's just a neat looking costume. Dude, they thought about all that shit with Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. And we're bringing it up. Like, they're trying to pick apart Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings to justify this show. We saw this with Obi-Wan. You brought it up. We saw this with Star Wars. They were doing this Star Trek too. They were picking apart the original series that came out in 1966 to justify a show that came out in 2017 that was inferior, by the way. Inferior written. Everything about it was inferior. That had nice special effects. So what? Doesn't matter. I don't give a shit about special effects. I watch Doctor Who. There is paper mache and tinfoil running around, and that the writing is fucking 1,000 times better than the Rings of Power. Watching Viserys getting drunk during the hunt made me remember my baby boy, Robert Baratheon, first of his name, and the best king still. Huron the Steadfast for $5.
I miss you, Bobby B.
We miss you, Bobby B. Saw Maple fan edit The Hobbit today. Much better. Hey, I've got one of those. I got a fan edit that's pretty good, actually. But fuck it. I'm gonna watch the extended versions and enjoy the shit out of them compared to this shit. And I own them. My Middle Earth collection. So how long till George doesn't finish the second? Oh, I read this one. All right, we're gonna. Are we at? Yeah, we got to go. We're at 3 hours. People are up late. So the Grizzly for $10. Have any of you ever read the Dungeons and Dragons books like the? You don't make me say this, man. Dizit to Urin series.
Drizzt to Erden.
I kind of like the fantasy sci-fi fusion. I like the. Is it Drizzt series?
Drizzt, yeah.
Cool. Somebody sent me some. So there's like Choose Your Own Adventure one. Somebody sent me a bunch of paperbacks that are. I mean, the covers are fucking cool. I like them.
So no, I haven't read those, but Dragonlance, you know, the first novel I actually ever read, like in my hand. My mum read to me The Hobbit, but the first novel I read on my own was Dragons of Autumn Twilight. Margaret Wise, Tracy Hickman, D&D based fantasy. It's great. Dragonlance is awesome.
I don't, because I mean, you're going to see tons of Daemon fights later.
And like I said, it's two different choices. They offer two different things for the story. I don't think that we can just definitively say one is better than the other. I know what my preference is, but I totally get what they were going for. That whole scene is to be like Daemon, as a result of what he heard from his brother and the position he's been in after this 3. He's like he went nuts, and that's what you get to see. Is he took some arrows, but he simultaneously actually got what he wanted. And the crab feeder was nothing to him when he was that furious. And that's what it's supposed to represent. It's supposed to be like, yeah, there was no fight there. He was done.
We were like, oh, we didn't see the fight, but oh shit, he's got like a piece of the crab feeder in his hand and he's covered in blood, and that's kind of fucking rad. But KM Turgeon, you are not a fake fan. You have a right to your opinion. You're welcome here. Thank you, sir. It's Jane Theory, by the way. She'll be joining us on some future live streams. Miss Jane Theory. You're white supremacist. She's like the worst form of white supremacist that we've seen online. By the way, it's been terrible. It's gotten really diverse lately, to be honest with you. Just joined the streams, gents. So I must have missed Shad's opinion on Valerian's armor. Love it or hate it, Shad? The Valerian armor. What do you think?
I needed to pause and have a closer look. I can't remember it now. Things were happening too fast for me.
Well,
I was still distracted by the wigs a little bit.
Valerian. Corliss Valerian. Here, I'll pull it up real quick before we go. I'll whip it
All
up.
right, let's have a look.
Find an image. I thought it looked okay, but I mean, I don't know. I'm a nerd. I like just armor. You know, I'm not like an aficionado.
Yeah, we're not this snooty shad man who must have it a particular way. I'll be fine with paper mache with paint. I'm not actually.
The sword man. Oh yeah, so you must have loved the ceremonial armor Elijah was wearing then.
I'm looking. He hasn't shown up yet. Once he shows up, there he is.
Yeah, him and his men. I can't help but look at their wigs sometimes and just be like, I don't know. It's not sitting right. But then again, I'm pretty sure isn't every character wearing a wig in the show? I think probably.
Yeah.
Some of them look better than others.
I'm gonna try to get like something that's in focus because it's all moving, right? There's a dragon flying over. That does not look good. The kid on the dragon did not look good.
Yes, the shot before he fires.
Oh, Gary, you might have a better shot of it when they're all having their meeting, right? Before the message gets delivered. That's probably good.
There, I got it right there. Well, I'll pull up Corliss. Corliss gets mad at his brother. There it is.
He's ready to inspect.
Well, Damon's going to come up. I'll get you.
So I don't like Damon's armor. I've already been on record about that.
That's it, Mike. Oh, come on. I don't want to play it.
I'm seeing some aura in the little preview window, but
I don't want to get back there.
oh, there was a guy in a cloak, or that one there that he sees.
All right, so there's Lanor's.
Look, it's not terrible, not phenomenal. I mean, the pauldrons are passable. I don't mind his armor. Like that looks like a decent breastplate, actually. It's got gorget kind of there. Yeah, that's not too bad. And I like how the cloak is wrapping around. And then also the inlays, which is where you see that there's some fluting on the sides and the inlays for embellishment. I like this. I would give this one a pass.
So if these guys are sailors, right? They're sailing around and their hair was like kind of blonde. It would make sense. It would get bleached out by the sun. Like having Targaryen hair without Targaryen eyebrows. And believe me, the white folk don't have their eyebrows dyed too, which I think is stupid. If you're going to have like this really bright blonde hair, you need to have everything. If you look at art.
Did they give Daenerys purple eyes in like the pilot or something?
They did, and they said it didn't work, and I hated that. I love the fact that they have purple eyes. I just think it's stupid that they didn't do that. I'm going to risk playing it for a second because he's about to see his brother, and they're going to yell at each other.
Oh, that's a good shot.
Okay, we see some good shots of the armor there. Okay. There's a big pet peeve that I freaking hate in a lot of fantasy armors. All right, so you have the breastplate. The breastplate isn't terrible. Pauldrons isn't terrible, but where the breastplate ends, this should lead into a fold. A fold is basically like a metal skirt made out of individual segments. They're called lames that wrap around your kind of hips, groin area. It's a really important part of armor, and they decide to just throw away a fold, and then they have they look like tassets just attached to either side, where the groin is completely open and vulnerable, and you can stab him right in the manhood, you could say.
Right.
And they're doing that here. Yep. They do it all the time, and it's like a fold would look folds could look friggin' great. And there's the same fantasy trope where they decide to have these two split side things. That annoys me. Everything else isn't terrible, but there's that.
Yeah, they should hire you. They can't afford you.
They can't afford me.
They can't afford you. Yeah, why can't I see Corlys? There's a whole shot of him yelling at his brother. But whatever. I think the Corlys' armor looked okay. His helmet looked a little funny. I might be able to find a picture.
Yes, chat, you want to protect that area. It's kind of like an important area for a man.
A little.
So much so they made dedicated metal cod pieces to not only protect it, but to present it because it's something to be proud of.
Oh, my.
Oh, goodness.
Just look up armored cod piece. and then if anyone ever tries to complain about boob armor, just send that reference.
Right? Getting slapped in the boob doesn't hurt as much as the balls.
That's true.
No, and I'm gonna say it anyway. Okay, so you can see his helmet here. So I'll show this. Tell me about this helm. Can you see it?
Let me increase it. Yeah. Like my main issue, it doesn't really match the armor. It looks like it's out of place.
Yeah. His armor's bigger. Like it's like like Lord's armor.
Well, this is like a dressed up skull cap almost, and if you're gonna having like actual plate armor, you're gonna have something like a bassinet or something like that comes around the sides, covers it a bit and things. And if they want the face exposed so you can see the actor, yeah, there are heaps of like better medieval helmets. Literally, look up medieval bassinet. is that you'll be able to see the face, but it would match the armor. You'd have to be able to have the same kind of embroidering, fancy elements to it. And because a skull cap is a pretty kind of cheap, helmet. Doesn't even have a nasal guard either, but that also makes it look a bit more, lower rank. Get a better helmet.
There's Corliss Valerian. You see him in the middle. That's how he really was. That's how he was a really.
Oh, really?
little lighter.
It's
all right. I'm gonna read this one and we out. Important question: how was the machicolations and machicolations and the castles in the show? We didn't really see any.
Didn't get to see any.
Yeah, we've not done much of that yet.
Wait. We did see machicolations in the first episode at the gate towards the Red Keep, and I like in my when I analyzed the medieval accuracy elements in it on Shadiversity, I gave it props. We got to see proper machicolations. Kind of, they were stylized, but they were there.
Okay, machicolations are.
It's like I'm rambling on. No one knows what I'm talking about. So on a castle wall where they have those tooths, the battlement up the top. All right. Yep. So machicolations, when that battlement gets extended out from the line of the wall beneath, it's held up by corbels, and there are loops between the corbels which enable you to shoot through right in between the battlement and the line of the wall at anyone who gets on the wall down here. And so those holes behind the battlements, like literally to shoot down, are called machicolations.
I wonder if he's actually used that in the book. I've read the book so fucking much, I would remember that. I must have.
It translates to like head crushers or like neck breakers, because you would throw rocks through them. And
hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
God, it's how are we even around as a species? I don't even know. I don't even know. We were total dicks. We all died of dysentery when we were 4. And I don't know how we're here, but we're here. Nina, hi. What's up, Nina? We'll see you. All right, I'm out of here. He's out of here. He's out of here. So, MauLer, please plug whatever you like, Mr. One Video a Year.
Check out that one video a year. 6 hours of your life can get fleeted away as you, I don't know, go to sleep to it, eat some food to it, play some games to it, whatever you want. You can listen to me talk about why MOM is the worst thing in the world for a while.
Paint Warhammer to it. Paint your little,
of course,
figures.
Catch us on Real BBC, as was just said, on Tuesday. And as very thankful to the mods in chat, posting my little plushie. It's got about 10 days left. If you wanted to catch your own little long man who's gonna snuggle up, watch some movies with you, you might not stop talking about how bad they are, but that's, you know what? That's what you're purchasing. That's what you're buying.
Squeeze, and then it plays a 6-hour video.
So I think someone made that joke. It's like you should have a pull cord and he just talks for 6 hours. Yeah, and of course, always a pleasure being here. I love these little chats we have.
Awesome.
It's almost nostalgic. It's weird.
It really is. It's throwback and it's really fun. So thanks, guys. Shad Brooks, man, plug whatever you like, sir.
Well, I got too much to plug these days, but if people are particularly interested in my media review and criticism, you can find me on Night's Watch. That's where a lot of people who enjoy Gary's content will probably enjoy most of that type of content I make. I have my original channel, still going strong. It's Shadiversity. Medieval fantasy, medieval realism, history, all that fun stuff. And I also have the Shadlands, which is, we're working towards building castles. Also family vlogs, it's a fun, lighthearted, wholesome channel, that one. And if you're interested in the content that I make, I have my novel, Chronicles of Everfall, Shadow of the Conqueror. You can get it on audio book, ebook, or a hardcover paperback, all that stuff. And if you see that sword there, well, guess what? There's a LARP production one that you can get through Calamisil. If you look up Imperious Sword Calamisil, they did such a brilliant job. We use this as the prop in the short film production. And so lots of stuff.
Graphic novel too. Yeah, good to see you too. And
graphic novel in the works.
Can't wait. And we'll see you again soon. We'll see both these guys again soon.
This has been awesome. Yeah. Love it.
It's fun. Nerdrotic, thanks. Everyone who left a super chat and a donation, thanks. Going to be doing a square up in the next 24 to 48 hours. I got to make up the 4-hour one I made without a microphone on. I should put up one of my members of me just going hours with no mic. I'll show you it exists. I kept the video just so I learned. This is how we learn. Love you guys. Thanks for everyone who left. I total boomer. Who just hung out with us and enjoyed a semi-edition show or didn't enjoy it. It's okay to not enjoy it.
Yeah.
All right. We still love you.
We shall allow it. We will make it legal.
We will not gatekeep.
Yeah, and we won't call you bigoted or sexist or anything like that.
No. That's what they call us. All right, so see you real soon. Yeah, next time will be Real BBC. Have a happy Labor Day if you're in America, or Labor Day everywhere else. Labor with that U in it. And we'll catch you later. Ciao.
Bye-bye.
See ya.